the scene is clear within your mind, play your role. Reveal the lore with a sage's rhyme. Throw the bones, rule fairly when those doubts arise. Chronicle from your choices, it comes to life. Rules at the ready, we call for results that are fair. Traditions survive to honor the rights of the game. Stand here beside us and take your place. Legionnaire, whatever you play, our goal will remain the same. Legionnaires, you lift the standard. Shoulder to shoulder we rise, with iron in our voice and light in our shield. We are one. From the page to the table, from the screen to the player's mind, Legion of Myth stands ready to headline. Legionnaires, you lift the standard. Shoulder to shoulder we rise, with iron in our voice and light in our shield. We are one. From the page to the table, from the screen to the player's mind, Legion of Myth stands ready to headline. So let's have some fun. Answer the call. Subscribe and share. Answer the call. Legionnaire.
Hello, Legionnaires, and welcome to episode 289 of Legion of Myth's RPG Digest. We are so happy you are with us here today. I am John Maxley Ushlow, and along with me today are Brett Heathen Dog Grismer and James Grim Desborough, who join us for another episode of Gamer Talk. Now, before we get started, before we jump in today's conversation, I need to make an announcement. This Gamer Talk live stream kicks off a new style of Gamer Talk, especially if you're used to us talking with Kevin and Sean, although I think they're pretty much at this point right now. Anyway, one that might bring creator spotlights, interviews, and conversations back into the mix. We stopped doing those a while back because, honestly, I didn't like doing them. It's just, if anybody who watched the members-only stuff knows, I didn't like doing them. Over the past year or two, I've told a lot of people no. But maybe, and I stress maybe, this is how we fold them into our Sunday schedule of along with RPG Digest. Now, RPG Digest primary focus is going to be about the games themselves, as it has always been, not conduct creator interviews. With that in mind, I will not do more than 2 of these a month. And since we have Kevin and Sean on once, we can maybe fit in 1 person a month to do this, and see how it goes from there. So if you reached out to me in the last year or so and I said no, maybe reach out again. We'll see if we can make this happen. Now, the real intro here is the point of Gamer Talk is right there in the name. It's a simple name. It's probably a silly name. It's perfectly accurate. Picture hanging out at a cheap diner or on sofa in the living room, whatever. It's hanging out with your gamer friends, talking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of gaming. We'll ask questions, tell stories, dig into things, laugh, maybe argue, who knows. And if the super chats keep coming, we'll pour a whiskey and just enjoy ourselves. This is not an interview, not a 2-hour-long commercial. It is a gamer conversation. It is Gamer Talk. So please consider supporting Legion of Myth through Super Chats and Rumble Rants. If you prefer to be a silent supporter, there are plenty of links in the description for you to support our efforts in time. Rumble Rants and Super Chats less than $20 will be read at the end of the conversation or at an obvious break, while those of $20 or more will read as immediately as we can without derailing the current conversation or topic. And a little twist, every $50 you support, this is total. This isn't one Super Chat of $50. Every time we get $50, triggers another round of drinks. But lastly, special shout out to our new viewers. Hope you enjoy this live stream. Share it with your friends and come back to join us again. Now, with all that finally out of the way, what is good today, gentlemen?
I'll let the guest go first.
All right.
Has a very nice donut.
Okay.
It's hot as hell here, so I hope my fan isn't too loud. And
Unlike some people whose names I won't mention, sounds like you either have a noise gate or you have a position well. People watch the Friday stream know what I'm talking about.
Wait. Just so everyone here understands what hot is. Go ahead and tell us the general temperature that you're talking about.
it's going to get back up to around 35 this week.
Oh, geez.
We've had like centigrade.
35.
Yeah.
Celsius. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
But we've had
90.
like it's a lot. But we've had like 3 heat waves in a row. This is my hottest summer since 1976, which I spent in a bucket.
Wow.
Because I was a wee baby.
Well,
Ooh,
the folks from Kanadistan are also saying how hot it is up there as well. So
Yep.
I can't tell the difference because it's Alabama and it's always too freaking hot down here, you know, being from Minnesota.
You're not
So I just know every day equals hot and I suffer through it. And so no change. But yeah, no, I get it for you. That's got to be 35. Wow. I'm picturing Kuwait temperatures when I hear that.
Right. Yeah, but it's humid here because we're an island and I'm in a river valley. So it's really swampy. It's horrible.
Well,
yeah.
Other than being hot, so the last time we talked, at least I think it was last time we talked, or maybe it's just because I was following. But I know, and I don't want to dig up anything you don't want to talk about with regard to this. But you're obviously here. You were having some health issues, so you know, without divulging every little secret and so forth out there, how you doing?
They still don't exactly know what's wrong with me all this time later. I have been poked and prodded and CT scanned and MRI'd and ultrasounded and had various things stuck into me. But I still have catastrophically high blood pressure. I'm on lots of very fun medication for that. And I'm bumping along. It's not getting any worse. So, you know.
Well, and the important part is you're still here with us.
Yes.
So that's awesome. So, you know, every day, you know, one of the things I learned from a colonel of mine when I was in the Air Force many, many years ago, and I mean, I still probably have a bad attitude, but I always had a bad, grumpy attitude, like, everything sucks. He said this speech one time. He wasn't talking to me. He was talking to a group of people, and he's like, you know, any day that the sun comes up and I see it is a good day. And I'm like, I can't really argue that. Like, as much as I want to complain about stuff, even I can't complain about that. So you know what?
Yeah, if the sun didn't come up, that'd be a bad day.
Yeah, right.
I mean, by definition, right? Yeah. All right.
Well, there was also that part where he said, and you're there to see it.
Well, if the sun comes up and I'm not there to see it, did it really happen? No.
Well, awesome. Well, it's good to have you back. It's probably been at least 2-3 years since you've been on here. So I'm happy that you're here.
Yeah.
Especially as you know,
the last time you were on here, it was the game.
I got it right here.
Yep, you got it right there. There it is.
Hey.
Because I use this book. I don't play it as written, but holy crap, when you actually take the time to look through it, like, you know, we've been covering Dead Rain recently, which is zombie stuff. And somebody came up with the interesting concept of, because I'm going to be running what I call Pigs in Space, hopefully sometime next year, which is Aliens Unlimited meets After the Bomb in you know, outer space. You know, as a space. This is why I want that space combat that we were talking about before the stream started. I've actually incorporated some of this into my idea where I'm like, oh, a planet that they go through, no life forms. Great, no life forms. Let's land there. It's got oxygen atmosphere. Well, there's a reason there's no life forms. They're all dead. Well,
Yeah.
Dead Rain's got some great zombies. This has some great encounters. This has some great ways to, I wouldn't call it railroad, but how to say, encourage them to go certain directions. Yeah, guide the story along. So, and this was written by Grim, and I think this was the last time we had him on. But look how thick that is, guys. Actually, some really good stuff there. Should check it out. So, yeah, I'm pulling notes out of that for things that deviousness I have in the future. So there we go. But what, just for you, what have you been gaming recently?
Playtesting Stray Crows, which we're going to talk about later. And Malaquin, who's in the chat, has been running some Hollow Earth Expedition for us.
Oh, wow.
My Meat Space group have been playing Horror on the Orient Express, the most recent version that came out. So a bit of Call of Cthulhu. And I've been tinkering with other bits and pieces. Unfortunately, I don't get to play as much as I would like.
Is it because of the writing, or is it because it's 300 degrees there, or what?
I live out in the countryside, far away from everybody who's in my real life gaming groups, and by the time it gets to the weekend, I'm usually very tired, so I just kind of veg out.
Okay. Awesome.
No, that's fair.
So, well, then let's go back in time and let's find out a little bit about Grim. What was a teenager, young adult Grim actually like in terms of gaming and nerd culture?
Spent as much time possible gaming. Less computer games so much because a decent PC was very expensive. So there was a very big gap between, I think, the Atari ST was around the same time as the Amiga. That was like the best computer I had for many, many years until I could buy my own PC and get onto it. So a fair bit of that. Early adopter of anime. My dad worked for a communications company, so we got an enormous satellite dish at the end of the 80s that you had to go out and manually turn to hit different satellites and all that. Yeah, so I got to watch Robotech and Voltron and a whole bunch of stuff on satellite TV and then rave about it to my friends at school who had no idea what the hell I was talking about. So,
and it was always that was Dan and a boo-boo.
So yeah, nerdy, bookish, yeah, kind of typical, really.
Brett, you want to ask any anime questions?
Yeah, first I have to find out the Japanese name of the.
Yeah, but you won't say it right anyway.
I'll say it with an American accent perfectly. Science Ninja Team Gotcha Man.
All right, so technically
Gotcha
that
Man,
was my
basically.
first anime.
Yeah.
Technically that was, but
Yeah,
it arrived
I thought so.
But it arrived in the UK via France, was
Sure.
cut to ribbons, and then they added
it
in
was
the
cut here
robot
too.
7 Zark 7. So
Yep. It was cut to shit here too when it became Battle of the Planets for the American audience. But I first saw it as Gotcha Man because when I was this was late teens, like 16, 17. And in Ann Arbor, which is the nearest college town, the University of Michigan, we there was a coffee house there that had anime playing all the time, and I saw it there as Gotcha Man. I'm like, oh, this is going to add subtitles and everything because I still can't speak Japanese, so I don't care. So I was reading it, and we were drinking and reading it. I'm like, wow, it's pretty good. And then I saw Battle of the Planets. I'm like, oh my god, it's on Saturday morning now. I watch it. I'm like, what the fuck? What? This is a completely different. It was like the Adult Swim C Lab 2021. You ever watch that? It's C Lab 2020, but cut up and and completely different lines and voice actor to make it ridiculous and stupid. That's exactly what when I saw C Lab 2020. That's what they did to Gotcha Man. That's what they did. But yeah, I saw that one and Battleship Yamato and of course Robotech. Harmony Gold again, cut that one up too, but that's how I ingested it first. So
Yeah,
it's in my heart now. It's like a disease. It's in my heart. I can't get it out. There's no medication for that. And then I went on to the normal stuff like Dragon Ball Z is when I started. I didn't start Dragon Ball. I started Dragon Ball Z. And now all of the newer action based anime that like Bleach. I'm watching the 1,000-Year Blood Wars. The last season started recently. I've been watching that. A lot of stuff on Crunchyroll. I like the Reincarnated as a Slime. I think that's funny. It's all giant OP nonsense that you're like, okay, there's no real threat here, but it's just it's funny. So I watch it, and the action's cool. So whatever. But that's pretty much. I started off with the stuff that's major in storyline, like Gotcha Man and Battleship Yamato. It was story based. It was based on the characters. They got growth. They got all that stuff. And now I'm morely like, oh, it's just a giant slugfest with beautiful animations and lots of explosions and yay. Like, oh man, I'm older now. Now I don't want to think. Damn it. My brain's atrophied.
I keep going back to the classic stuff, and I'm with you on Robotech. I mean, on the one hand, it was a desecration of Macross and the other two series that they put together.
Fortress,
yeah, but then on the other hand, they did manage to put it together into a somewhat cohesive narrative, and particularly the Invid, which was what originally Genesis Climber Mospeda or something. Yeah, that's still my favorite. And I still go back to the old ones. I've got a box set of Votoms that I need to finish working my way through. So I keep going back to the old stuff. Isekai, it's fun at the start, but it's too much now.
Yeah, like I said, it's just for flashy animations and explosions and yelling and all that stuff. That's what it is now, and that's what I like now. Am I proud of that? No, I'm not. I'm not proud of it. But
well,
what?
At least
Here
you admit that you through all the years on and off, I've tried to watch anime, and I just struggle getting into it. It's been something that if it isn't some sort of squeaky voice that I can't freaking stand. By the way, I lived in Japan. They do that on their advertisements and whatnot, but I hate it. I married a Japanese woman, and there's still just some of that the tropes that I cannot stand that will just push me away even if the story is good. But I have found a couple of good ones. If I remembered the names, I'd tell you what they are, but I can't off the top of my head. One of them half the names in German, so you'd be like, how do you not know that? You lived in Japan and Germany.
Japan and Germany, dumbass.
I know, and I can't remember. Yeah, but it's a title that's typical Japanese. It's like 4 paragraphs long just for the title of it. So but I found a couple that I like, but they tend to be serious political, not in a modern political sense, but political factionalism type stuff. If they're too silly, I'm out. I've tried to watch
Wolf Brigade.
What's that?
Was it Wolf Brigade? Was that the one?
No, actually, I might be able to find.
Wait, there was one. While you're looking that up, there was one we actually reviewed that made that really worked out our eye muscles so much that our eyes were sweating.
Yeah, the Peaceful Fireflies or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the Fireflies one. Yeah, the one about the kids who survived the World War II.
My wife said they actually used that in Japan as propaganda.
Yeah, as propaganda. Yeah, and then the little sister died in his arms, and then he died on a subway track with people just walking by him. And we were like, oh yeah, no, we're not crying. We just our eyes are sweating. That's the wind.
All. Yeah. They do have a penchant for rather cruel
yes
things sometimes.
That was unnecessarily sad. I mean, do you really have to be that? I get it, but Jesus, man. Come on.
Okay, I got it. It's called Legend of the Galactic Heroes Dainua Tisa.
Not what I was thinking of, though.
Yeah. I mean, there are a couple others. Actually, I started finally watching the Gundams, and those are very hit and miss. Some of them are good. Some of them are absolute crap.
Oh yeah. My two favorites are Gundam Wing and Iron Blood Orphans.
Gundam Wing, I think I watched that one. I can't remember. Mobile Suit Gundam Origin, Mobile Suit Gundam Wing. Apparently, I did watch that. Which the one that has the freaking chick at school the entire time? They can take that and burn that one in a fire. God awful. Anyway, but yeah, so yeah, I'm just not. I'm not honestly. I'm just not an anime guy. My wife will every now and again, being Japanese, she'll throw stuff at me, but she tends to watch what I'd consider more slice of life than anything else. And it's just like I don't watch rom-coms and so forth. It's not that I hate them. If it's on in the background, fine, whatever. But I don't go seeking stuff like that out. So
well, yeah, they a lot, like I don't want to say half, but a large percentage of anime, even current anime, is the equivalent of Spanish soap opera. You know, like, or Mexican soap opera, you know, like kids in school about dating, trials and tribulations, and grades and finding a good job after university. I'm like, I don't care. I'm sure it's good for you guys, but you don't need to export everything. All right, you can leave stuff at home. It's fine. You know, leave that and weird tentacle stuff. Keep it. Give me the rest. I'm okay.
They can let us have the weird tentacle stuff.
Oh, well, okay, there you go.
well, here's the funny thing that okay, a lot of people in America who watch anime understand on a superficial level, but really, unless you're inculcated in Japanese culture, like I was, and like again, some of you out there may have been as well, you don't realize how anime permeates their entire culture. I promise you this. Everything from the most mundane to the most horrific, there is at least 10 anime of it. That goes with manga as well. It is, I mean, they advertise in anime and manga. I don't mean like as in they put a poster or something. I mean, their advertising campaigns are anime characters for joining the Japanese self-defense forces. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I've also seen, you know, stuff that is obviously for adults, like washing machines.
Yes.
The advertisement aimed at adults who have money to buy washing machines is all you know, anime nonsense. I'm like, what?
It's part of the culture at this point. They are not anime. I'm not trying to say Japanese people are anime. What I'm trying to say is that anime is everywhere. If you can name a TV show or a movie, I promise you there are at least 10 manga and anime for that same exact concept over there. It's just everywhere. So it is what it is. And a lot of times, you know, Americans be like, yeah, no, I get it. I'm like, no, I don't think you do.
No, you don't get
it. It's everywhere. But let's bring it back to tabletop RPGs a little bit here. You know, again, we're talking younger Grim at the moment. When did you first realize, as you were playing and maybe designing your own adventures or whatever, when did you first realize, like, hang on, someone might actually pay me to write this crap?
So I finished up school, went to college, was doing some fanzines and things on the side during that time. Then I went to art college and dropped out, as all the best people do, because it wasn't that great. Then I had to get a job. So I got a job, and while I was doing that job, I was also writing stuff in the background, and I thought, I don't like this. This is data entry, hour upon hour of just sitting in spreadsheets and filling in numbers. So I got together with a friend of mine, and we basically spammed every company that had an email address at the time, because this was still fairly early on, and said, look, here's a bunch of ideas we've got for stuff we'd like to do. Are you interested in any of it? Or would you like to potentially farm out some writing to you know, a little group of friends, basically, across the pond for the most part. Steve Jackson Games wrote back. They were interested in a couple of ideas. A couple of other companies did write back as well. I very nearly wrote an edition of Chill, but they went under. So
that's a game I haven't heard of in a long time.
Yeah, but they went under before that deal could be finalized, so that fell through. And then together we wrote Munchkin's Guide to Power Gaming, and that did absolute gangbusters and spawned everything else since, and basically saved Steve Jackson Games Company once they went into card games and other things with it. And off the back of that, I started getting freelance work for Mongoose Publishing, primarily. It was all humor stuff, so I was a bit, being pigeonholed. Great, I'm funny, I can do other stuff as well. And then I lost my job in the .com crash. So, and then went 18 months without any work. And so what was keeping me going was doing the freelancing. And I just thought, screw it, I might as well do this full time. So for a while it was...
this is a casual conversation here. I'm going to change the topic because just slightly here. No, because I had a similar situation. I wasn't writing. I'm much more on the technical side for a job. But I was getting out of the Air Force and the .com bubble burst. And companies that I was talking to at least once a month, sometimes more. There are 3 of them in particular. I won't mention their names, but they're all either based in or from Minnesota. Like, hey, still looking forward to doing this. Here's my tentative date that I leave the Air Force, blah, 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 traveling, all that stuff, right? All of a sudden, the .com bubble bursts, pop. And they're like, were you? Wait, what? No, I've been calling you constantly. Yeah, we don't have a position available. Now, at this point, I'm out. I'm getting out. There's nothing I can do about it. I am getting out. And you said 18 months. I think that's about how long it was for me too. It was like 18 months before I was telling people I'm about to go to prison for 3 hots and a cot.
Yeah.
It's like, luckily I got a job after that, but it's just interesting kind of anecdotally there. It's like, yeah, that .com on a completely other side of the fence, the technical side, kicked me in the ding ding as well on that.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even have an excuse. I mean, you guys had an excuse. There was a financial industry wide downturn. I got out in '98, a couple years before that. It was still upswing, right?
Yep.
And 3 months before I got out, I got a call from the guy. I had a confirmation letter. You got the job. Then they called me and said, you don't got the job.
Dude, I have the same. Now, there's a couple years later, I have a letter that I saved for years, and I don't know what happened to it. It said, pack your bags, you're going to North Carolina. Guess where I never went?
North Carolina. Yeah, I lived with my grandma for 9 months.
Yeah.
Because I had nothing else. And, so I was on unemployment. I was looking for a job. And I finally got one at a regional telecommunications company. I'm not going to say the name because they ended up, being disastrous. But but it was rough there for a minute. So like, okay, grandma's got to support me. This feels awesome.
Yeah, we were me and my wife, because she couldn't work either at the time. At the start, she was immigrant because she's American, so she couldn't work for a while anyway. And so I was supporting us both. And then I lost my job, and then just as she was allowed to get jobs, they dried up. So we both ended up living out of one room in my mum's house in a sort of igloo of boxes with all our stuff in it for quite a while. It was rough. But so if you're unemployed for a very long time over here, as we were, because they didn't know what to do with us, because we were qualified and intelligent, not the kind of people that normally go into the job center. But eventually they send you off on these stupid bullshit courses, like how to make a CV, as if you don't know how to do it. Right. But you have to do it anyway if you want to continue getting your unemployment.
Your assistance, right?
Yeah. So I'm sat there in this shitty little classroom thing across the table from junkies and alcoholics, and it's just some of the absolute dregs. Some people are all right, but I just thought, no, fuck this. I'm just going to go into business for myself. Screw it.
Well, see, I'm too risk adverse to do something like that. I had a few people suggest I do it, but I'm honestly, I'm just too scared, for lack of a better term. But yeah, I had to do the same thing. I had to go to a resume writing class, even though people were using my resumes as the template for the class. And then the other thing that they would do is they'd make you, depending what state you're in, but the state I was in would make me have to have 3 interviews a week. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't get my unemployment. So I'd go down there, and every freaking job would be like, we're not hiring you. You're overqualified. I'm like, right now, I don't care. I will sweep the damn floor if it gives me, pay my rent. And they're like, nope, you're overqualified. Like,
yeah. Yeah, supermarkets I was applying to, like shelf stacking. They're like, no, you won't be happy here. Of course not. But I want money.
No one
what do
here
you
is
not
happy. Look
understand
around,
about
man. This is a supermarket. This is a 5 and dime. All right. That no one's happy here. No one is 5 years old and saying, "Oh my God, screw being an astronaut." You know,
Yeah, I want to restock.
I want to stock Mr. Pibb and RC Cola all day. That's what I want. Shit.
And then pay for every can you break.
Exactly.
I did have 3 interviews for really interesting jobs that I've kind of taken with me since. One was a guy building adult websites out of his bedroom. He wanted a partner to work with. And I was like, I mean, in theory, I'm interested in this job, but no. I nearly got a job at a monastery. So
Wait,
what the monks... Yeah, so what the monks were doing is they had this little modern annex to the monastery. And what they were doing is they were digitally scanning all the ancient books and things that they had, and then having people touch them up in Photoshop, and you'd probably get AI to do it now. But that was really interesting. I was kind of disappointed I didn't get that one. Oh. And the last one was for this company that made adverts for things like payday loans and so on. So they had me create some like sample adverts. What would you do if you had got this brief sort of thing? And I got it completely wrong, but it was some interesting lessons. I don't think I'd have liked to work there either. But they were saying to me, like, okay, you got to think this isn't banking, right? We're not trying to exude class or whatever. We're trying to prey upon people, so make it colourful and fun and eye-catching.
Think less Bank of England and more P.T. Barnum. That's what we're going for. Yeah.
So that was eye-opening, but yeah.
All right.
So that we keep this around 2 hours, and there are definitely other kind of segments that we want to dive into here. I'm going to ask this question that seems to be a bit of a jump, but because it kind of is. But what do you believe about game design now versus what you did at, say, age 25 that you got completely wrong? Or if you want to, that's transitioned the most.
I think I used to have more of a sort of one true wayist sort of idea that there could be some sort of ideal way of doing things. And I felt like systems and companies were kind of creeping towards it and then away from it and so on. Yeah, I still have the idea that I want games to be art. I want them to be taken seriously. I'm in the middle between sort of classic gaming and story gaming in a way. But the biggest shift, I think, has been that, no, you need a suite of tools that you can adjust and twiddle the knobs and move the dials to make the system and the setting work in synergy. So there is no one true way, no one best way to do things. That I now believe it's very independent and contingent on what it is you're trying to do.
Okay. No, I think I agree with that. Like, it's one of the things that I get caught up in a lot is, I mean, you've talked with us before, you know, I can be very stubborn and very obstinate in my one track mind and in my beliefs that I think is best, but best doesn't mean only. That a lot of people miss out on that. Just like when people are like, you got to say for you, or, you know, for me when it comes to an opinion. No, everybody should know an opinion automatically means that. I shouldn't have to say those things, right?
Yeah.
But with that in mind, I find myself in the middle a lot in terms of, like, I do believe you start a game rules as written, but I also believe, like you said, you fiddle those switches and those knobs to make it fit how you want your setting, your table to run, or you just write your own game if you really hate everything. You know, I don't believe in a pure sandbox, a pure hex crawl, a pure what are you doing, and I'm going to sit back until you guys figure it out. But I also don't believe in railroading somebody. You have to go from stop A to stop B to stop C, stop C, D, whatever. I'm going to let them have the freedom in there. And it's, for some reason, having this like middle ground really angers a lot of people. More so than you would think. You would think they'd be like, okay, I don't fully agree, but I get where you come from. It's almost like that's worse than not being an extreme on either end.
Well,
It's
no,
'cause
most people don't understand unless you're with them on their extreme or against them on another extreme, because they understand their side and they understand they hate the other side. If you're in neither one, you're a question mark, and that pisses them off more because they can't pigeonhole you.
And if they do, they pigeonhole you in the enemy camp.
Yeah, right.
The safe side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to say about that, Grim? Or
for a while, I was really enchanted with much more narrativist games, much more loosey-goosey sort of stuff. These days, I find myself getting horribly frustrated with them because I don't think they are easier. I think in many ways they're more difficult, both as a games master and for some players, they just cannot handle that. Like, I just got the new Discworld RPG, and I do think the approach, which is very, very thoroughly narrativist, does work, particularly for Discworld. That was certainly my experience in the past, sort of making up my own stuff for it. But it's not easy. It's not good for beginners, and yet that's kind of how they've angled it. The assumption that simple is easy, it doesn't really work, I don't think.
No,
I
with a heavily narrative-based game, everyone at the table has to be on the same page almost all the time. You all have to be working toward the same goal all the time, or else at the best of times, things will get bogged down. Worst of times, things will just go off the rails. You won't be able to see the track anymore, and you're in the woods all by yourself going, what the hell happened? And
there's more cognitive load, not less. Like, if you've got rules to arbitrate things for you, you don't actually have to think about them too much, because the rules and the roles can handle that for you. Yeah. Whereas if it's all like GM Fiat, then you're constantly having to think about everything, and you don't have rules to hide behind. You know, if a character dies, it's your fault, not a bad roll. It's because you decided to kill that character. So you can't say, well, you rolled a botch, sorry. So yeah, it's socially exhausting as well as mentally exhausting, having to think everything all the time.
a term that we've kind of, we didn't coin it, but that we've used a lot here. And in fact, I love it because Palladium is actually, like, that's a good way to say it, is we like the concept of a framework. Give me enough rules to give me the framework for the game so that I can adjudicate as necessary. I don't need complete crunch. Don't tell me how to do literally everything in the game where, I've got to spend 4 weeks just memorizing all the rules and flashcarding them to make sure I get them right, so on and so forth. But give me something. Don't just say, hey, if you think he succeeded, just let him succeed. Like, no. I need something. Yeah. It is still a game, right? So I like that framework concept.
Never go full role master.
No, never do that.
I mean, come on. Sometimes it was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, fair enough. But
all right, well, let's have some super.
Go ahead. Exactly. That's what I was going to do. Speaking of the Palladium thing, you brought up the framework.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up kind of in our third discussion, though. But go ahead, you can do it now.
I know. But Polyrobotics spent $20, and he deserves his money's worth. What's Grim's true position on Palladium books? Now, hang on. Before you answer your true position, do you know his lying position? I mean, has he lied to you about this before? And you're sus? You're like, no, you're lying. I can tell.
Maybe he just wants something clear. I don't know.
Okay.
I like their game worlds. I do not like their system, which is a rather pedestrian and normal position to hold on Palladium. I think that's the majority.
Most
position.
people have that idea in their head. Yeah.
Yeah. If I can add some nuance to that, obviously, as the only kid in a 100-mile radius who knew what Robotech was, I did buy the Robotech books, and I had a lot of fun with them. As the only kid in a 200-mile radius who knew what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were in the 80s rather than the 90s, I bought TMNT, and we had a lot of fun with that. I remember having a gang of mutants in a post-apocalyptic Mad Max world, and we decked out a double-decker like a galleon and did broadsides on other vehicles. That was a good Good laugh that was. So I have had fun with Palladium, mostly in spite of instead of because the rules. That said, coming back to it with modern eyes, I did recently do a solo play TMNT sort of game report on my channel, where I had a giant hamster taking on the gang of mutated farm animals from Rural Route 5, if you know the book. That was a lot of fun. So I am still capable of having fun with it. I think I'm less irritable with the system now, and I can see some redeeming features to it. I still think it needs modernization. I recognize that's an unpopular position. Have fun. I've got Savage Worlds Rifts down here somewhere, which I thought I'd give a go.
No, we're moving on. Well,
I, without diving, because this, we've kind of become a de facto Palladium channel, and I'm not here to shill Palladium or anything like that. I think in a general sense, I kind of agree. And here's what I will tell you: Sean Owen Robertson is trying to modernize it. Depending on what you mean by that, we won't dive into that here because we want to get into more of your stuff. But maybe we can have a discussion on that in the future, because I'm always truly curious as what people mean when they say these things. Because sometimes I'm in agreement, sometimes I'm not with that. But my caution for modernizing is, for my take, because I'm a purist in many things, including D&D. I don't believe that WotC has D&D. Yeah, it has the name. It legally owns the title, but nothing that WotC's ever put out is D&D. It's ruined the spirit of the game. If they would have just been like, we prefer ascending armor class over descending armor class, it's more intuitive, we're going to go that, but keep the tropes, keep, the concepts that TSR started, I'd be like, okay, you know what, I get it. But when you just gut everything and just stamp it on there, and that's what a lot of people, now usually when somebody says a lot of people, that's you talking. No, I talk with a lot of people behind the scenes, say what they want, what they don't want, so on and so forth. They're scared that it's not going to feel Palladium. Action reactions. I mean, one of the big things that they've changed already is they don't roll initiative every round. And I'd say it's like 50-50. 50% of the people are like, good. 50% of people are like, screw that. My game's going to still be roll initiative every round because that's the way Palladium's been. That's an important issue for me as well. But it does, like you said, it can stir up a hornet's nest on that. My contention is always, as long as it feels the same, acts the same, the spirit is the same. Yes, please modernize it.
I think there's an additional complication with Palladium, in that the idea has always been the Palladium MEGAVERSE, where everything is technically compatible with everything else. And so if you revise the system, you lose all of that history and supporting material. So
you have to revise everything.
Any change that you make needs to be backwardly compatible.
And that is Sean's design goal for everybody out there. Sean's design goal is like, I don't want to do that. Now, somebody like me who's puritanical can argue one way. Somebody that wants all these changes and even more will argue it's never enough, and that's just the way it's going to be. But I think they're going to try to find that balance between Kevin and Sean. Now, again, I don't want to harp on Palladium too much here. I just, But I do want to put that out there for folks. Like, they are looking at this, but that stuff takes time when it's really 2, 3, maybe 4 people total invested in this, and they've got a company with hundreds of books. All right, go ahead and finish up the super chats and the starred comments.
Bar One Studios,
all addresses.
$5. Thank you very much. And then came Honey Badger Radio and certain discussions of ethics in video games journalism.
Okay, 2 things. First of all, because I want to ask this because I might just not know. Grim, have you had any relationship with Honey Badger Radio? Have you ever been on their show or not?
I've been on their show a couple of times the past when role-playing stuff came up in relation to their issues. They no, I'm not going to say anything else because this is not a political show and I don't want to get into that.
So good news, because I thought the person was referencing me because it came up on a live stream recently that I was on the show a few years ago. So I was on the show and somebody tried to use that against me, and I don't care. Let's put it that way. Yep, I was there. We talked.
Let me just say, they used to be a bit different than they are now. I wouldn't go on there now, but I met some very good friends of mine through them and other bits and pieces. So I don't have any regrets. I never disowned my past or anything. I just I wouldn't today.
Okay.
And then I think there's at least one more super chat. And then
there's two more if you count this. Just CPK just giving us $5 for why? Just cause, man.
Because he wants to see us drink. We're at how much are we at right now? I can't do math and I can't find my. Take it off the.
You've been drinking already.
Oh, there we go.
$40.
$38.11. So
come on, man.
In $12. Nope, in $12 or in $11.89. We get to have a round of whiskey.
All right.
Go ahead.
And then our last one is Malaquin. I have written over a dozen books for Palladium, and as Grim's friend, I die a little bit every time he explains his stance on Palladium. So what we've learned is that your friends are masochists, and you are a sadist, my friend. You just love causing your friends pain. That's all it is.
I thought people already knew that about me.
Well, now some people do. Now everyone does. All right.
Now everyone.
Or we could use Kevin's concept and say role playing is personal. And as long as we remember that role playing is personal to each individual, there you go. You don't like Palladium? Well, find the game that's for you. And buy all the world books so that you can incorporate that into your game.
Beast of Legends.
Like GURPS. Like, oh, God, no.
Beast of Legends.
Next super chat, please.
Well, that's all the super chats. You start a couple things.
Yeah, go ahead. Start.
Okay. T-Don86 says, nerds are worse than cavemen when it comes to brand/setting loyalty. If you mean like, we find something we like, we knock it on the head and take it back to our cave forever, you're right.
Caves? Luxury. What's wrong with sitting under a hedge?
Well, I don't want to be a hedge man.
All right.
And then our other one is Polyrobotics again. Say, they don't play enough game systems to see the reasons. I'm not sure.
This was back when we were talking about what were we talking about? We were talking about I think we just talked about people complaining about something that Grim was saying. Great host here. I don't even care what the guest says. No, he was talking about people diving into the narrative. So they're diving into the systems, and like there's this modern trend where they.
Oh right, yeah. We've actually run across this years ago where people were saying, no, you don't know anything about this system because you play other systems. And when I read that, I was like, oh my God, your mother is so bad. She did not do a good job with you, like at all. Your father was obviously gone. He went out for cigarettes and milk and he never came back. and your mom did bad, because it is actually the exact opposite. The more games you play, the more nuance you understand, the better you're going to be at any individual game. That's it. There are droves of troglodytes out there who believe the exact opposite for some reason. And you know what? I am not a super open-minded guy. If you're stupid, I'm going to put you in a box and you're going to live there forever. But some people can, increase their field of vision, their worldview, and to do that, you need experience. All the book learning in the world is not going to help you unless you get out there and do other crap. Once you do other crap, it either solidifies your original stance that the stuff I did before is the best crap, or it'll be like, crap, I didn't even notice this part of the thing I used to love is actually bad because I've experienced so many other things. Both of those things can happen even at the same time. It's crazy, but you're never going to expand your mind if you don't do other stuff. It pisses me off.
Okay.
I concur.
There's a bunch of chats came in, so go ahead.
Yeah, we got more coming in. And
rattle them off.
Bang them out. All right.
But hold on, just so everybody knows, we did cross the $50 mark, so I don't know what Grim's got there to drink, but
I don't have any at the moment because I'm supposed to be laying off, so I'll play it safe and I'll just open a new
water
can
and
of
call
soda.
it vodka. Just mispronounce that Russian word because voda is water in Russian. Just go vodka. Oh, oops, I put a K in there, and now it's vodka. And I'm gonna pour myself a whiskey.
There you go. Tango first trap.
Tango zeroed. Not zero, you're zeroed.
Yes.
Yeah, you've been targeted.
All right. Go on to the next one.
All right, next one. Bar One Studios again. Wow, I think we all were on there then. But let's hear the stance on post-apocalyptic James, where you play Japanese schoolgirls inspired by J-horror. That is just Call of Cthulhu in a Japanese setting, because all Japanese horror is nightmare fuel.
That's
all
why
of
it's
it.
their favorite game. I never put that together.
That
It's
is
all bad.
Kagai, which Bar partially illustrated for me, which didn't do super well. I need to revisit it and do a new edition, maybe set before the apocalypse. I think something like After School Monster Club or something.
Yeah, like Monster Squad, only with Japanese girls.
Yeah.
But yeah, Japanese, Korean, and Israeli ghosts are just terrifying. All of them. they're just you can't win. You can just not lose slowly. James of
I'm gonna address this
Hyperborea.
one.
$5. Thank you very much. I try not to support people who hate me, my culture, and Western civilization.
All right. No,
Well-
no, I know what this is about. Let me
I think
address
that's a bit
Okay,
much.
I don't know what this is about. This
Well,
this is,
I do. It's so I think a lot of people on here know. Remember, this is casual conversation. We're not going to dive into the weeds, but that people like Grim, I said people like Grim. I'm categorizing, and people
yep,
like
you're in a
me
box now.
think way
Not the
differently.
stupid box. Be happy.
Politically, I would argue with Grim about a lot of stuff, but here's one thing that at least I've never heard. Now, I don't go digging. You have to come into my face with this stuff for it to happen, and some folks have done that. Watsy, Paizo have literally done that. Steve Jackson have absolutely
Earth
done
on.
that. Directly come into my face and said, you know, whether via banners on their website or nomenclature in their books or whatever. Evil Hat is another one that's done that. So I would not have anything to do with them. Grim, we could disagree like cats and dogs, but as far as I know, he has never, ever done that to me. Now, to be fair, he puts a lot of videos out. I don't watch most of them. And that's not to sound like a dick, but I watch ones. I don't watch TTRPG content nowadays. I really don't. Bear and I talk about this all the time, where it's like I just don't watch tabletop RPG content. Well, and I'm not going to watch Grim's political content because it's not something I want to see. But I'm okay with the free expression. I think the one thing I kind of confronted Grim on once in the past was I always have an issue when non-Americans talk about American stuff. I do. Just like I don't talk about German stuff. I don't talk about British. That's just a personal take. I'm not going to stop him from doing it. That's just a personal take. With that said, I've never felt that Grim hates me, and if he does, well, then we'll talk about it behind the sscenes. This is the last
He's
time you'll
hitting
ever
it
see him
really
on
well, and kudos.
Yeah, I know, right? And this will be the last time you ever see him on the show. But
I think perhaps I have a different view of what constitutes the good aspects of Western civilization to my interlocutor there, because I see it as pluralist, that many different points of view can be held and expressed, and that's all good. Mostly, I do not give people any crap unless, well, I will give as good as I get politically, but unless you're coming after me personally, generally it doesn't bother me too much. Recently, I did a social media amnesty. I unblocked absolutely everyone from absolutely everything, and we'll see how that goes. So,
by the way, James of Hyperborea, which is by far the best OSR game I think written. But you know what? I don't agree with everything you say, but you're still a friend, sir. There we go.
yeah,
Oh,
back to games.
Yep, back
All
to
right,
games.
yeah.
Exactly. What's the next one?
That was all.
What?
That was all that was starred, and everyone who gave money. Look at that.
Okay. Well, Heathen Dog actually brought this up when I was talking with him about some things to talk to you about. So I'm going to open up the topic, but I'm going to let him ask the question that he's totally unprepared to ask, and it's about your
Sure.
support for artists out there.
Oh, right. Yeah, we actually spoke about this. The last time you were on here, you were, well, you always were trying to promote up and coming artists, trying to help them get work, and to have them be able to not just make a living wage, but eventually thrive in creating art that actually makes people think, that enriches the world rather than denigrates or takes away from it. And that was a couple years ago. And to be crass, I mean, how's that going?
It's actually quite depressing.
Oh, damn it!
It's still my goal, and my aim is to support new young artists or artists who are having a hard time, and pay them and help them get over the hump. Help pay for students to make their way through university, because you pile up a lot of debt, and an art career is usually a very difficult one to get and make any money at. So that's still like my ideal goal. And it's not AI that's caused the problem, weirdly. This kind of stuff was going on before AI. The space is just so utterly full of scammers and art thieves who pass other people's work off as their own, that it's become virtually impossible to do the kind of open calls that I used to do to find students and people who like needed to make rent or whatever, which I used to really love doing. I got a real kick out of helping people. But now, if you do an open call, you get flooded with spam from very, very dodgy people. And the AI wasn't the cause, but it has made it worse. So you have to vet everybody, and then sometimes you get to the point of paying, and the PayPal address they want you to send the money to has nothing to do with their artist identity, and you're like, who is this Hamza Yusuf at protonmail.com or whatever? That's not your name, that's not your online profile. Why am I sending Hamza money instead of you? What's going on here? Or Ivan or whatever else. And yeah, it's really depressing. So I've had no choice basically, other than to start networking. Old boys clubs. Oh, that artist worked for you, can you put me in touch with them? Or the artists who I do know and trust, do you know any other people that could work on this for me if you can't? But it gets awkward, and it does mean that you're not discovering talent as much anymore. And yeah, I wish it could still be like it was, but it's just, I guess, hard times, so people are grifting, but it's depressing.
In the true sense of the word grifting, not just, memeing like, hey, I'm trying to get some money. Yeah.
No, that sucks.
What are your thoughts on AI as a whole then? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Should I answer that or?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Go ahead and answer that. That'd be funny. I mean, interesting.
So my opinion sways back and forth constantly, depending who's annoying me most in the moment. Because the AI boosters are super annoying. Oh, look at me, I'm an artist. No, you didn't. You told a machine to do it. And then on the other side, you've equally got sort of neo-Luddite zealots. You once looked sideways at a piece of AI art. I will never ever buy any of your product or work with you ever again. So spare me from both of them. It's a tool. We're still working out.
Oh yeah.
Still working out how we're going to use it, what it works for, what it doesn't work for. Personally, I see absolutely no issue with using AI for YouTube thumbnails, other sort of disposable craft, because before AI, all I was doing was actually stealing art to use on thumbnails. So this is a slight improvement. I don't think many of the philosophical arguments against it are particularly sound. The environmental ones kind of are, but even the high power hog American AI models have gotten something like 37 times more efficient than they once were. And now the Chinese models are outstripping the Western ones, and they're a lot more power efficient. So a lot of the objections are going away. I'm under more threat as a writer from it. It's a lot easier to fake writing than it is art. And yet it doesn't bother me that much. That might just be the Zoloft speaking. I don't know. But it's just, I find it hard to get as worked up about it. I will always prefer to hire people. But I can see instances where maybe I want to put something out that isn't very commercial, right? And isn't ever going to make any money. So why not just slap together something through AI just to illustrate it? Because I'm just barfing some nonsense out there for people to have fun with if they want. You know, I don't have the money to spare. Maybe I can get some pocket change out of that. Or people using it for their own home games. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever, I don't think. Yeah, but mostly, I'm afraid I'm in the middle again. We don't really know where it's all going to land, and we have to be able to have these discussions, and we're not able to have these discussions. I have been trying for about a year and a half now to try and get a panel together of reasonable people to discuss the AI issue, and it just seems to be impossible.
Yeah, they won't even talk that you're absolutely right. They won't even talk to each other. I suffered this at work. So I work right next to people who are programming AI for the United States Air Force. And the part that I can tell you can probably look up, and this is to the you out there, the general you, it's called MAGE. I forget what it stands for. It's an acronym for something, but you guys can look it up. But they're programming that AI, and I talked to them about this quite a bit to learn its pros, its cons, you know, what it can do, what it can't do, and so forth. But you try to talk to anybody online. You try to talk to anybody, and if it's somebody's a supporter, you know, whatever your position is, yeah, you can have that conversation. But somebody else like, oh, no. Like, and there are people at work who just absolutely outside of obviously the AI programmers who are just like, you're destroying the environment, you're stealing everything from people, and that's it. It's like, that's not exactly true, because if you're going to use that same concept, well, you know what? People would look at Spider-Man, put graph paper over it, and redraw Spider-Man, and then put a different, different pose or whatever, you know, just slightly modify it, and nobody complained then, unless you really, really, really were able to figure that out. Or even if you're not going that far with it, you're just kind of looking at something. I'm going to, copy this idea. That's just happened. I'm mad because half this, no, more than that. 80% of the stuff I write comes up as looks like written by AI.
Yeah, because you're literate. That's why. Same. It's very annoying.
So you're going to AI check my stuff and be like, Max wrote everything with AI. I used AI to help me with some layout, but I didn't use AI to write anything. Otherwise, it would have been done 5 years ago. Anyway, Heathen, you wanted to ask a few more questions on this, or at least another one?
I did.
About artists.
This was your question that you made me ask. Damn it, we opened this can of worms because of you.
The AI part was me, but I'm talking the artist support.
Yeah,
So you've gone from the hope of elevating young artists who are just starting out to becoming at least getting their foot in the door in the industry and having hope of a career doing something they love, to just keeping people who are already in their foot in the door, grabbing them and hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't like it. I really don't. But all right, I'm going to admit it. I have been ripped off on a couple of occasions by people, by scammers, and I'm really careful. I used to work in tech support. My wife used to work in security, and they still got me a couple of times. There is another effect, which is perhaps slightly less delicate to talk about. Kickstarter culture, and I know I'm taking part in it, but it has really caused a lot of people to massively overvalue their talent, because crowdfunding can raise enormous amounts of money, and then sometimes people can be paid well over the odds for their work, and then they come to expect that, and then they expect to get hired at Kickstarter rate from people who aren't raising $1 million on Kickstarter. Yeah. So I think there's a big problem there. There is a problem anyway in the RPG industry in that pay rates basically haven't fundamentally changed since the year 2000. 25 years.
Can I ask you a question about that? Pardon me for interrupting,
Yeah.
but this is something that one of the things I've noticed being a YouTuber in this space is the just gonna say it this way, the cheapness of the people in this hobby. Now, I get it. A lot of us do this because we don't have a lot of money, and it's a way to use a resource over and over again. And I don't care what somebody's thoughts are on, say, the Trove or whatever, but I know more people with pirated books than I know with real books at this point. And so companies do what they can. Let's talk Palladium for a moment because we know them well. They keep their prices absolutely as low as they can to still keep the lights on and pay some folks, and people are still out there stealing their books. Now, I don't care if one random person, it's going to happen, right? With music, videos, whatever. I'm sure back in your anime days, how did you get some of that early anime, right?
Easy, man. I bought them from a guy. Did they fall off a truck? I don't know.
Right? But
I don't know this guy. I don't know his mom. It was at a convention. I got all of Dragon Ball Z on VHS. Didn't look super legit, but I paid money. Shut up.
So, but the point is there are a lot of people who just aren't willing to spend money on stuff. Now, there are a few whales out there. BattleTech nerds, Warhammer nerds are some of the big ones. They love their miniatures and they love having all the little collectible pieces and so forth. But tabletop RPG nerds don't like to spend money, which I think makes it hard for a creator to sell it at the same time. Because if somebody doesn't want to spend money, it takes money to make stuff. Then you know your choice is to make it and take a loss or not at all. Then it doesn't exist at all. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? That's just how I've viewed it ever since becoming a YouTuber and kind of picking up on this.
On the one hand, I don't really blame people because like I've been poor, and I understand, and to an extent I am fairly sort of mellow about people stealing my stuff. You know, at least it's getting played. Maybe they'll see that and they'll look into other stuff of mine, and maybe they'll pay for some of that, or maybe they like the pirated thing so much they'll buy a hard copy or whatever. I can't say that it's actually held my sales or anything back.
Well, let me be clear about one thing. I'm not just talking the piracy. I'm also talking that that's if they have it. A lot of people just won't buy it. Like I don't want it. Don't need it.
That is one thing I will absolutely celebrate Palladium for, is that they have always kept their prices down and they've always been accessible to people. So, and that was a model I consciously tried to emulate early on. Around 2020, I began sliding my prices up a bit, but I also began sliding up how much I pay people up a bit. Okay. So I've at this point I've managed to put them both up by about 50% of what I used to.
Well, if you remember when PDFs first came out, they're like $2. Now the standard is 50% of the price of a physical book.
Yeah, what I do these days is I take the price of the physical book and I say, right, no more than half of that cost. That seems somewhat reasonable to me because there's no shipping or storage or whatever. You know, who are you kidding? Selling your PDF for like $30? No, just no.
Yeah, I mean, you may have to format the PDF in a special way to make it work right on screens of different sizes. I get that, but that's a one-time expense. And if you do it yourself, it's a one-time expense of time, and then it's just copy paste, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to ask on? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was trying to remember if I finished my train of thought or not.
You said that you weren't too concerned about people pirating in the hopes that that you've elevated your prices for to pay people more.
Yeah. And so my latest projects, I've pushed the prices about as far as I can bear, kind of as an experiment to see whether stuff still sells and so on. So I'll report back in a year or something. But yeah, people are cheap. And I understand times are tough, but
it's weird because I find them to be cheap specifically in this hobby because they'll pay
Yeah.
$70 for a freaking computer game. They'll pay $150 for an anime if they don't have a Crunchyroll or Funimation or whatever subscriptions are out there. I mean, comic book collectors, like look at even, now I don't follow Comicsgate anymore, but even look at all those, people putting out their books for like $150. Oh, you get 2 extra things with it when a comic book costs what, 6 or whatever. You get what I'm saying? Like people are willing to overpay on so many different things here, but this hobby, from my perception, whether it's a YouTube creator, whether it's a book, somebody developing a book, especially when you consider all the time and effort that goes into it, paying the artist, yada yada, they don't want to do it.
Yeah, it's a hobby culture, even though it has become more mature as a business. So people still have photocopied zine in the back of the store sort of mindset when we're producing, offset print, hardbound miniatures and boards and all of this professional stuff, but you still want to pay amateur prices. I mean, an RPG is a fantastic value. You can buy the book once and you can play it forever.
Yeah, I've got games 40 years old that I still play.
Yeah, and that doesn't seem to factor into what people are thinking.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I was just say at the same time, I want to keep things cheap. So I just to say, at the same time, I want to keep things cheap so that people will buy them and play them. But it's always intention. Sorry, I kept.
No, that's okay.
You're the guest. You should be the one speaking.
Yeah,
so
he's gonna yell at me later. But it's an asset. It's one of the few assets you can buy that doesn't actually depreciate. The book is going to be the same book in 20 years as it is now. It's going to play the same. The only thing that's going to be different is people's perception of it. And I think that is the definition of art. One of the definitions of art. It doesn't change. As you grow, your perception of it will change, and that's actually part of the fun. So yeah, I mean, I don't get it either, but here we are.
All right, let's hit some of those chats because we want to talk about Grim as a writer, which will also lead into Stray Crows in a little bit. So unless there's any final commentary you guys want to either ask or make about your support for artists and what it means to be an indie artist, I think we're ready to move on.
I'm still trying to make the effort. It's just that it's gotten more difficult, and I would encourage everyone else to try and make the effort, even though it is difficult. I think it pays off in the long run by creating a stronger, more interwoven community of creators.
All right, you want to hit? We started some things.
I got it. Barwin Studios comes out again with $5. AI neurosis and competitiveness at least make good cyberpunk discourse. As for Spider-Man, here we are, Spider-Man. Spider-Verse is already almost LLM exploitation of Spidey. He may be talking about the movie Into the Spider-Verse, which was should have come with a seizure warning for most of it.
I admire the courage of really committing to the bit with the animation in that, and I did like it visually very much.
I was in the other camp, but here we go. Venwin25 says newer distribution models have removed the old excuse of accessibility for piracy. Excuse me. Now it's just plain entitlement. Well, you know what? When PDFs, the PDF for a role-playing game and the ubiquitousness of cell phones and tablets and stuff like that, to where you could have spent $2.95 for a book and have it with you at the table. That was awesome. Piracy, you're just a dick at this point. You have no feet, you have no legs to stand on. You're not even on solid ground. Get the hell out of my face.
There's one caveat I will have to that, but it's from the other comment that you're going to read in a moment.
Okay. But now that the PDF is, for some unknown frickin' reason, almost as expensive as the actual book, then piracy comes back. I mean, that's how it is. I mean, you you price yourself. You set the prices to push people's personal behavior. Now, there are some people who are just asses and they're just going to steal everything no matter what that they can because that's who they are. Well, there's no helping them, and your pricing isn't going to help or hurt them in any way. They're just going to be dicks, and that's how they're going to be. But for the other people who you went from $2.95 to $19.95 or $29.95 I've seen for a PDF, which is ridiculous. There's no justification for that. And now they're like, why am I going to spend $29 for something digital that I also have to take my tablet to a game, or also pay for a D&D Beyond subscription to upload it so I can use it online with my online group, blah blah blah, all that stuff. It's just the whole making me pay. It feels like several times over when I should only be paying once, stuff like that, and then they're just going to steal it. That's that's how it is.
I've got a little bit of insight for you there. A couple of things, right? Censorship on online sales platforms is still a problem, and D&D wizards are trying to create a walled garden where you have to buy your books through them if they're going to be compatible with D&D Beyond and all the rest of it. That's another thing that drives people to piracy. Why should I have to buy the same book 3 times?
Right.
Why are you setting me up to do that? Another big factor is distributors and stores did put a lot of pressure onto the sort of middle and upper tier companies saying, you're selling the PDFs too cheap. People aren't buying the books. We need to make a living. We need to sell books. So if you raise the price, people will be more likely to buy, invest and buy the book rather than buy the PDF. So that created a bit of upward pressure on the PDF prices so that there's less competition.
It's funny you say that, because this is something that Kevin talked about way back in the day, long before PDFs, when he was doing Mechanoids. He's like, nobody's buying your game because it's too cheap. They think it's not a full game, or it's not a good game because you're selling at too low of a price point. It's like, wow, I'm trying to save people money, and they're like, no, I'm not buying that.
Yeah. It's all consumer perception should be about 30% of the price, really.
Yeah, I've seen it in like fiction e-writing as well. Like if you sell your ebook for 99 cents, everybody sells them for 99 cents. So they think it's just another piece of garbage, the same as everything else that's floating around. If you bump it up $1, $2, you'll sell more, because there's that different perception of value. Yeah, and it's just weird.
Yeah, if you're a little bit higher than the average, people are going to think it's an above average book, even if it's not.
Yeah,
it's an entirely average book, but you're P.T. Barnuming it. You're polishing that turd to make it shine, and then they won't know until they already spend the money.
So if you want to make money, sell your Yeti erotica at $2.99.
Yeah, there you go. Or 15 to 25% higher than the average, slop. And
as long as the reviews don't come back, why did I pay this much money for this thing? You win.
Yeah. All right, and then we have
this is the one I want.
T86 again. Here we go. I buy the books and then pirate their digital copies. I want both, and I do not want to buy the same material twice over. I was just, before you say anything, I was just thinking this. You damn kids nowadays, this is the old guy talking. You don't understand that boomers, Gen X, and millennials had a real problem because all of our music went through so many different format changes in our lifetime. Everyone else just had gramophones and shit, and they had that for 100 years. We went through records, tapes, CDs.
Wait, hold on, stop. Tape. We had 8-track.
Oh, 8-track tapes, right? Yeah, and then cassette tapes, and then CDs, and then mini CD. There was a minute for that, and all that. We had to rebuy our collection like 8 times. All right, so shut the hell up. Okay, old man rant over. All right, go ahead.
So my take on this one is this: like, first of all, I still consider that stealing. I get it. I understand what you're trying to say, and I have generally the same concept. And a lot of people put in the chat here, I like companies that when you buy the hardcover, you get the PDF with it. I think that should be the trend that goes forward. Some people still say you got to pay extra $10, $20 or 50% or whatever it is to get that. I don't like that as much, but companies are going to do what companies do. My take is this. If you guys see anything that we've done in here, I buy everything. Heathen Dog will even say things like, let me see if I can find it. I'll be like, no, I'll go out and get it. I buy everything we do here, not just because I want to know if we get audited or some crap. It's not going to happen. Not for that anyway, but because I do believe in that honesty, and I do believe that, hey, if I get it, I should pay for it if we're going to use it. Now, there are two caveats. First one is I did used to use the Trove. And here's what I would do. I would get it from the Trove, and if I liked it, I would buy it. If I didn't like it, I actually deleted the PDF. I'd have people say, hey, Max, you got this PDF. I remember you saying that. Yeah, I hated the game. Well, can you send me a copy? No, I deleted it. No, you didn't. Yeah. Yes, I actually did. Like I do that. The other part is this, though. I will pirate under one condition. You cannot get it. So, for example, Ralph Bakshi's Wizards is a game that I have. You can't get that anywhere. So I've had people send me messages like, hey, can I get a copy of that? And no, don't just start sending me messages, because if I don't know who you are, I don't send stuff to random people. But in that case, yes. If the publisher is not going to put it out there in any way, shape, or form for somebody to get, then I absolutely will find the other method, Scribd or whatever it happens to be, to go get it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that is what the Trove was really good for, was finding those old dead games that you just couldn't get anywhere else, except eBay scalpers. But screw those guys.
Yeah. I had the same thing with Marvel superheroes. I still have my two main books, my players book and my judges book, from when I bought it in '88 or whatever. I still have it, but all the other books I didn't have a chance to get.
Yeah.
But they're all free online now. All of them.
Yeah.
You can just get them because you can't get them anywhere else.
You know what's funny? The Star Wars D6 games, you can get everything but the core books.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All right. What else we got?
We have one more from Walter T. A disposable income is a grand thing to have. Oh, cry me. Oh, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I can't really talk about that. I only worked 16 years as an adult. I stopped a long time ago. I really can't say anything about this, but the thing we were talking about earlier is that the Max was saying is that people will spend ridiculous amount of money on some things and say other things are way too expensive, when you as an objective observer would say those two things have the same importance in life.
Right.
Obviously not to you, but these are not apples and oranges you're trying to do. This is like an orange and a slightly green orange is what you're actually comparing here, so I don't understand what's actually going on. Like you got to have your Starbucks every day, but you're not going to pay, $30 for a role-playing book. That's that's less than 6 days of not having, overpriced sugar coffee. That's it. And then you can have that book. Oh,
there's
no,
also the problem with completionists. Like, I have to have everything. How big was my Palladium before we even started Year of Palladium books? How big was my Palladium collection? It was like 7 books total, going all the way back to like 1985. Because I didn't need all the other stuff. Most of this other stuff has just been gained because we talk with Kevin and Sean. I'm now helping to support the one person doesn't support a company, but you get what I'm saying. And I found actually uses for these things. I still don't have every Palladium book. I probably never will have every Palladium book. The point that I'm making is some people are like, I have to have it all. I'm a big AD&D 2E guy. I have only a shelf and a half. Well, I guess it's one full shelf because I have a lot of 1E books up there as well. But I never got even all the Splat books. I didn't get books that I didn't feel I need. But some of these people, I gotta have it all. Gotta have it all. Oh my God, it's so expensive. Let me go get it on PDF and then print it out for free. No, you don't have to have it. Use your noodle.
Well, that's all of the books outside of the core book is just someone else doing the work for you. That's all it is. That's it. I mean, the biggest contributor to that idea is GURPS. GURPS is made to where you can make anything, but we'll sell you the work. You know, GURPS zombies, GURPS space, GURPS mutants, GURPS hentai, whatever. I don't know. All of that probably exists. But you know, we'll sell you the work. You could do it yourself for free, but it'll take time. No one wants to take time. Here, give us money, and we'll give you back time.
But if you pay for convenience, that's fine. You pay for convenience. You know me. If there's one thing Heathen Dog and I are different on, he'll do the work. I'll pay for the convenience a lot of times, right? But here's the thing. I know what I do, and I can afford paying for the convenience. You know, it's like if I couldn't, guess what I would do? I would do the work.
You do the work. I mean, if you pay for the convenience and then gripe about the price, maybe you shouldn't be paying for the convenience. Maybe you should do the work.
Yep.
There it is. So if you're, you know, all you need is the core book. Everything else would be good to have. That would be nice because you can do it all yourself. Once you have the core book, once you know how the rules work, you can create new monsters, you can create new settings, you can do all that stuff. And yeah, it's hard at first. You get better by doing. The experience thing I was talking about ages ago. You know, you get better by doing it, right? So yeah, you don't need to buy all of the supplementary books, all of the ancillary stuff, all of that stuff.
Yes, they do. They need to buy all of them.
You don't need to. But if you don't want to spend the hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and days and whatever creating all that content, and you can spend $15 to $25 and you have that money, and to you it's justified to save that time, then do it. But don't gripe about how much it costs. Don't do that. You want to gripe about the core book? I'm on board. I am on board because that is literally the barrier to entry in playing the game. If that's $80, then don't play that game. They overprice themselves out of you. That's what happened. You know? But yeah. That's my.
All right, let's go on. Any other chat, because we want to talk to Grim about as being a writer as well before we hit his game, and we got to spend some time on his game.
Lost Lore Scholar gives £2. Congrats, Grim. I don't know what for, but congratulations.
We'll talk about what for in a bit.
Oh, okay, all right. And the last one is Kevin Sullivan with $10. Thank you very much. Hero System is the same way. You don't need anything but the core book to have a great time.
Yep.
I have never bought anything except the core book for Hero System.
I bought
because it is absolutely so just out of the box customized. It's almost painfully customizable. Buying a supplemental book is, to me, just ridiculous. No matter the price. But
the books, for my purposes, do tweak a few things that kind of make it more efficient. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We do have one more super chat that popped in.
Oh, just popped in just now. Full Metal Dragon for $5. Thank you very much. The Coalition wants to know what kind of propaganda these Stray Crows documents are, and if action must be taken.
Well, we'll find out about that in just a little bit. We're gonna have one more little kind of back and forth before we get into that, and then we're definitely gonna show Stray Crows. I wanted to have kind of its own segment, so if I clip it out, we can have a nice focused video on that.
Sweet.
So, okay, but we've talked a lot about, at least incidentally, as you being a writer. I'm just going to dive into probably in a question that sounds easy, but might be a little difficult, is what are some of the most vital lessons learned that you've discovered from all these years of writing?
Editors are painful and annoying, but you should still probably get one.
Thank you. And end the stream now. That is, I'm keeping that out now. Right there. Thank you.
Okay, hang on. Before you go on and end the stream, expand a little bit on two things: why they are annoying and why you still think they're probably necessary.
So the reason they're annoying is because as an artiste, you often construct your sentences and your paragraphs in certain ways, or you have certain ways of putting things or ways that you construct things that aren't necessarily grammatically kosher. And the editor will draw you up on them constantly. And you have to be able to set your ego aside and either explain to the point that the editor gives up trying to make you change it, or go with what they say if you realize that it actually is a little bit of an improvement. Again, AI has made a lot of this really weird, because if you have less of a voice, a personalized voice in your writing, and if it's not a little bit clumsy, then people start pointing at you like it's the end of Body Snatchers and screaming AI. So,
well, I'm a technical writer, so clear, concise, consistent, accurate. I don't want to know who you are in the writing. I want it to be clear, concise, consistent, accurate. And as soon as I can tell your sex, your lot in life, and whatever else, I go in there, and we've done it a lot of times. We'll
zones out.
I'm also a prescriptivist, not a descriptivist. So it's great for editing.
So
it's horrible for writing.
Game writing is weird because it's kind of both at the same time. It is both technical writing and creative writing. I made a deliberate choice to write my work in a more conversational style, but that's by no means the only way to do it. It's just I like to have my books feel like we're sitting at the bar in a pub and I'm explaining to you how my game works. So that's how I'm trying to come across. But technical writing is in many circumstances.
I prefer the stereo instructions. Just give me the stereo instructions. Yeah. Save the lore for the lore portion of it. That's great. That'll get me in my headspace in the world. But when it comes to the rules, I want the stereo instruction.
Yeah. The other things I say is that there's a bunch of stuff you can do that's almost but not quite editing. So Grammarly, again, unfortunately, AI has inveigled its way into there, but that is quite good for editing your own work. Listening back to what you've written using text-to-speech is a really good way of editing your work, because the machine doesn't read the same way that you do, and it will just follow the cadence on the page, and that will throw up errors. But even if you do all of that, you really still need to get someone else's eyes on it.
Thank you.
Because you can't help but have your own biases, and your eyes will skip over the things that are actually mistakes that you do all the time. So you have to get someone else to look at it. The only other way to absolutely guaranteed find every mistake in a book is to publish it and then look at it afterwards. And then the errors just fly out of the page at you like shrapnel. So...
Yeah, it's the whole thing where I didn't really know where I wanted to throw the grenade until I pulled the pin out type thing. Like, oh god, now it's very important I get rid of this thing. You know, kind of like that, where once you commit, everything crystallizes. Yeah.
Oh, one other thing, because this is a hobby industry, right? A lot of editors are frustrated writers, and they will want to fundamentally change your work or remove bits and put their own stuff in. So you have to watch for that as well.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah, that's happened to me twice.
That is unethical. And,
I wouldn't even think, because I'm not an official editor because I don't have the licensing or whatever else. But I spent many years editing technical manuals, and that was never something that came across. It was always clear, concise, consistent, and accurate. Those are the things I was looking for.
Yeah, man, it's almost a different game you're playing. But I get it. But an editor's job is to make the artist's work better for general consumption, or to move the artist's work in the direction that he says he wants to go.
Well, that's why there's content editing and also linguistic editing. So content editing is make sure, did you explain this rule at all? Did you even put it in the book? Can we do this feature?
Yeah, but in none of that should any of the editor's personal opinions, thoughts, desires be injected like a fucking virus into the artist's work. That is something you get slapped the shit out of for.
Yeah. I bet it is a drawback of working in a hobby industry. You know, don't necessarily hire the most professional or best people for the job. You hire who's available at what you can afford to pay.
That's fair.
So,
Okay.
comme ci, comme ça.
All right. Anything else? Oh, wait, actually, I'm sorry. We're already in a new segment. What am I talking about? So, simple question here, because I want this to be somewhat personal. We seem to be asking interview questions and not just, comfortable questions, But so, how the hell have you survived doing this for so long?
Yeah. What's your secret? Robbery?
Becoming disabled.
Oh.
There you go, folks. Get the IRA
now
to
you know,
kneecap
people.
you, and you too can sell a book. No, what's going on?
Right, no, that's me being glib. Family support. I used to make more money at it. I used to be an absolute machine at writing. I could churn out 10,000 words a day at my peak.
Wow.
Nowhere near that anymore. So, it made money. I've had side gigs and ghost written and pseudonyms and stuff. So there's a lot more of my stuff out there actually than you might suspect. It just doesn't have my name on it. So yeah, just working like a machine. But yeah, 2007, I started having some mental health issues. And then around the end of COVID, I had my physical issues kick in. And since then, I've been dealing with chronic pain and various other things. So I do actually get some disability support now. So that makes up the difference for the relative lack of work that I can put out. But I am still working and paying my taxes and all of that. So, but it makes up the difference.
So what do you think the average gamer misunderstands about the economics of RPG publishing, especially as an indie publisher?
All right, let's say I'm a small publisher and I'm putting something out and it's somehow getting into stores, right? That's already incredibly rare for small publishers. So you got to reckon that maybe a third of the cover price goes to the store, maybe another third goes to the distributor, leaving about a third for you, out of which you have to pay writers, unless you're writing it yourself, editors, you shouldn't edit it yourself, artists. Layout, unless you're doing the layout yourself. And the costs are probably, you're going to have to swallow the cost of getting the books to the distributor and to the friendly local gaming store. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your point of view, we don't tend to have a returns thing in RPG publishing like you do in regular publishing. So once it's out the door and at the stores, you don't have to worry about it anymore. You don't have to worry about it being sent back, particularly. They'll just throw it out or stick it in the bargain bin.
That was a big deal in comics.
Stores or the distributor or whatever have already paid you for the physical copies. You've been paid now. Whatever they do with it, they bought it. It's theirs. They can burn it, rub it on their bodies, tear up the pages, and swim in it. Who cares?
But does that make them a little gun shy to buy your stuff then?
It can, particularly for small publishers. I mean, but then there's good sides and bad sides to it. I mean, you look at what's happened with Paizo and Diamond and some other publishers as well. It was sort of on consignment then, and these products weren't yet necessarily paid for, but the distributor is now saying that it's theirs, even though they haven't paid for it. And it's gone to court. We'll see how that. I think I saw some news story about it being sorted out, but that's more like the regular publishing system in a lot of ways, which is better.
Here's a question for an indie developer, and this one's been bothering me probably for the last couple of months. Specifically because what you're saying and what somebody put in the comments about Diamond, and I don't follow Diamond closely, but I understand what's going on there. I keep hearing people say, well, I go to my gaming store and they only have D&D and Paizo. They only have D&D. They only have D&D and Paizo. Like, that's it. Well, you're a gaming store, and I understand there's some risk involved in getting other stuff, but I remember going, growing up in Minnesota, going to the Source or going to Schindler's, and they'd sell baseball cards and miniatures and whatever else, and looking at the gaming rack and, oh, Turtles looks neat. Oh, this BattleTech thing looks neat. Oh, this GURPS looks neat. Oh, this, whatever game's up there. Oh, Ars Magica, not interested. Whatever. I'm not trying to poo-poo the game. I'm just saying, we would have these things like, now it's just D&D. Well, that's all that sells. Is it all that sells? Because
Or
I know
is
a
it
lot
just
of
all
people.
that you're selling?
Right. And then I'm wondering if this is a chicken and egg scenario there.
So I know some people who run stores here and there. There are some good stores that I will still frequent if I get the opportunity. Shout out to Eclectic Games in Reading and Leisure Games in London. There's a lot more pressure on shelf space because board games are doing so well.
Okay.
So that's part of it. And there are multiple card games that are doing okay. Magic somehow still. Lorcana's doing quite well. There's a one-piece card game that a bunch of people are playing. Yeah, that takes up a lot of shelf space as well. Pokemon, always.
Mm-hmm.
So then you've got much less shelf space for all kinds of games. And then financially, it makes most sense to have all the up-to-date D&D products and Paizo. And then maybe you get a little shelf of indies, maybe some local authors and things. It's definitely hard for smaller publishers to get into stores. I haven't gotten into stores in years now. So yeah, it's a lot more difficult, even if you have an established reputation and a good body of work. It's difficult, but then I don't think you need it necessarily anymore, because you can sell online, you can do print on demand, you can have your own web store set up relatively easily and quickly. Hosting is so much easier than it was back when I started, when you'd have to have everything hand coded, and it was all a bit rattly, and nobody trusted buying anything over the internet with their credit card. No one wanted to do that, but everyone does now. So I don't know that it's necessary. But then the stores that I see that do really succeed as role-playing stores tend to have gone one of two ways. Either they become adult daycare, where you can go in and sit down and play games, have a snack and a drink, and maybe they have a library of games so that people can come in and play them, that sort of thing. So that's one way, the sort of game cafe idea. And the other way is they become specialists in role-playing games, and they're in a big enough urban area that that's financially viable. So like Leisure Games, who I mentioned before, they are in it to support the role-playing game hobby and industry, and they stock huge amounts of obscure games and rare games and so on, and they hang on to them until they sell them. So that's a very good store for that. I think Traveling Man, forget which city they're in, they're similar. So niche, it's kind of like classes in games, right? Niche protection.
Okay.
Different stores for different things. So, you know, one store's a fighter, another store's a cleric.
I'm going to say something controversial here, something that he used to get me in trouble, and Heathen Dog would do this even more abstractly on the Legion Myth Weekly live stream many years ago. But I get a lot of crap because I buy my stuff online. I don't support my friendly local game store. And I'm just going to be upfront with you. I don't care if they go out of business. I know that's a horrible... I'm not trying to ruin somebody's livelihood. What I am saying is, whether in my own job, literally happening to me over the last couple of years, things transform, things change. That's just the way it is. It's a transformative market. And so Heathen Dog used to get me in trouble because he'd put like Amazon prices, you know, for the game. Like he'd find the games, like you can buy it here from the publisher, buy it here from that.
I always used eBay, and if the actual creator had a web store, I put that on there too.
But you also put Amazon on there, which got people angry.
Well,
but here's the thing, I don't care, and people will bust my balls about this all the time. Like, you don't care about the local gaming market? No, I care about getting the games and the books that I want. You know who does that best right now? Either, unfortunately, Drive-Thru-RPG or Amazon or whatever. Sorry. Now, back then, there really wasn't a good self-publishing market. Now there is a better one where you can put your stuff out there, but I'm going to use that. And it's not that I hate those creators. I really wish that they would still exist, but you're not carrying any of the games that I like. So why am I going to peruse your store? Oh, you can order it from them, or I can order it from Amazon and get it tomorrow. You know, like
there's a big debate in this country at the moment about the death of the high street, you know, because most people just don't have any reason to go into town anymore. If you're getting your groceries, you can get it all delivered online. Clothes, you can get it delivered online, and you've got a better choice and a wider selection of sizes and everything, and you're more likely to find interesting little niche online stores that you can order from, and yet local government keeps pumping money into the high street to try and keep it alive, or lowering business rates, and it just ends up empty and boarded up anyway. The only businesses that survive are either money laundering, because like Turkish barbers, vape shops, do we really need a dozen of those? Who's buying that much vape juice? what the fuck? Or destinations, cafes, restaurants, things like that people still need to be there in person for. And I think game stores in particular really need to grasp that idea. Games Workshop has been doing it for decades. Mm-hmm. People drop their kids off there to play Warhammer and pick them up at the end of the shop, as they used to, or just drop them off there in the holidays these days. And they'll play a couple of games and learn how to paint some miniatures and spend some money. And I think that's what game shops all need to pivot to, is providing experiences.
Yeah. Okay. The my local game shop is the largest in the state. Really, it's 15 minutes away. I haven't been there in 6-7 years, and the reason being is because when COVID started, they changed their policy. They're only stocking D&D 5th edition, Paizo, all that stuff, the stuff that I don't want. Yeah. That and Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Pokemon and Magic the Gathering, the only things that sell the most. Well, you lost my business, because these are the things I don't want. And they don't care, because I am not worth 20 other me's.
Yeah, but out here, it's the same thing, the exact same thing, except for they're crying that nobody's, like, why aren't people coming by? And I went to one in Montgomery, Alabama, and it had a D&D and Paizo area. And even when I talked to the guy, I said, hey, you run games here and so forth. Yeah, it's just Dungeons & Dragons and Pathfinder. I'm like, what about some other game? And I mentioned games I like Earthdawn and Palladium and whatever else. And like, yeah, that really wouldn't fit in here. And then there's just one little rack that has like old games that maybe people turned in or whatever. And I did actually see a couple Palladium, and there are books I already had, but Palladium and Earthdawn and some other just whatever games out there, GURPS, whatever. And that's it. I said, what about selling games like this? No, we're not interested. Okay, well, I'm not interested in coming back, so have a nice day, But the funny thing is they cry about the fact that nobody's buying our stuff. Well, not everybody plays D&D. I'm not saying that you should have a full rack of what's kind of an obscure, of best, of tri-stat games. Just have a full rack of that. No, but how about have 2 core books sitting there and see if it sells? How about, putting some, maybe you don't even carry the GURPS world or the GURPS main books. You carry a couple of GURPS world books to help with world design. You carry some more indie publisher like Gore or Blood, something like that, like for folks out there to see if that's something they're interested in. I had better luck in the comic book by taking my friend's comic book to comic book stores and say, hey, he's an indie comic book writer. Like, yeah, just put it up on that shelf over there, and however many sell. They bought them from me. I put them over there. I don't know if they all sold out or not, but you get the idea.
Yeah. It's not like you go into a bookshop and it's only got romantasy. Right. There are other books in the bookshop.
Yeah. In a regular bookstore, there's all the different genres. Now, some are larger, some are smaller, but everyone is represented in some fashion. But the last time I went into that store, I'm looking around, I'm going,
it's not for you.
It's a whole wall of 5th edition.
Yeah.
A whole wall. I'm like,
we got both kinds,
seriously?
Country and Western.
Yeah. Country and Western. That's it. Yeah.
That's nice.
So, yeah.
All right. If somebody handed you £5,000 tomorrow, what would Postmortem Studio become? Sorry, not 500,000.
Oh, that's better.
£500,000 tomorrow. What would Postmortem Studio become?
I would get the services of a decent lawyer and a decent accountant, and I would employ someone to help me full time. That would be my first move. Someone to take care of all the office stuff, tax registrations and form filling and all of that jazz, and then probably someone else to handle the marketing because we hates it, Precious.
I think most of us do. Let's be honest. I think most gamers hate that part of it.
And then I would keep the rest because I'm a cautious fella and see what happened and figure out a nice big project to dump a bunch of cash into.
Yeah. You've already paid the mark. Well, all right. I wouldn't buy the marketing until you have the product. You know, it's just me.
Well, I have back products that they can sell
back
until the new
product.
product is
Okay,
ready.
yeah. But you know, if you have 500 grand, and I would say I'm gonna use that 500 grand so I can spend 100% of my time on my big idea. This is the big thing that I didn't have time to really put everything into. Now I do.
Yeah.
Because I got this money. Half of that goes to people to take everything off my plate so I can do this. And once this is done, the editor gets it, the marketer gets it, and then the rest of the money goes, and then I cross my fingers. I hope to die, to not die, and then hope it sells.
Yeah.
All right. Well, two things. Number one,
Okay.
It's time to take another drink because we've crossed $100,
there
so
you
that's another $50. So I'm going to pour another whiskey here, and let's read some of these chats, and then let's talk again because we're about to be over time here in just a moment. But let's take some time, and we are going to dive into Stray Crow's Ronin here in just a moment. Where'd I put my alcohol?
All right. While he's doing that, let's see. Full Metal Dragon comes back. We already did that one. Nope.
We did that one.
We did that one already. Daryl Everett. Sure. $15. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Thank you for the money. One thing that content creators need that no AI can do, no editor or artist or distributor can do for you, is create a following. Well, we just spent 500 grand on a marketer, and in our last hypothetical, you know, did you win the lottery today? You know, so that's what the marketing's for. Create a following. You know, sure, you can create initial following with just throwing money at it, but then you have to actually have a product that at least semi lives up to the hype.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. You have to back it up in the end. You have to have a product that's worth that, you know, all those editors and artists and distributors and stuff. You have to have a product that's worth it, or else that's your last product. Good luck. Now you live under a bridge. Awesome. Awesome for you. And then we have Stephen Kennedy with 10 jewels.
Okay.
I still don't know what these jewels do.
We kind of figured out. I didn't look it up, but people on the last live stream kind of said half of that, so that'd be 5 cents. He gave us 5 cents. And apparently that's how it converts over. And you get a little, because I also keep the actual chat open as well. You get like a little splash
an
screen
emoji
on the chat.
It's a happy poop emoji is what you're saying. Is
But
what
it's
this
beyond
is
an
supposed to
emoji because it actually takes up like the entire chat screen and does its thing.
be. That is sad. I don't like that.
Hey, you know what? It gave you 5 cents.
I'm sorry, man.
2 cents after taxes.
Yeah, after taxes, it's 2 cents. I don't bend down to pick that up, so I don't know what to tell you.
I appreciate. Thank you for the 10 rupees or whatever those were.
For the happy poop.
The happy poop. There you go. All right. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Well, I drank my second shot of whiskey. Thank you, folks, for the super chats. And yeah, by the way, I am reading all the stuff that comes through here. We don't have time to get to everything, but appreciate all the commentary that is going on. And now we're going to dive into Stray Crow's Ronin. Now, here's the thing. I want to ask Grim some questions about this. But before he does that, we're going to put it on the screen because I want to have a nice casual conversation about it, but you have to see it. You have to see it. That's not the seeing it part. How about let's go to the seeing it part. Share screen and Stray Crows. Booyah. And I'm also going to put the link into chat for folks because I think I was a dum-dum and completely forgot to put it in the description. I want to focus on that later. Little foreshadowing there. Reload. Okay. And Stray Crows, I am putting the link into chat. I promise you I will get it in the description after the live stream. In fact, I will write it down.
Awesome
Stray
sauce.
Crows URL in description. Okay, so First of all, congratulations. You made it. Not only made it, but you made it by a lot compared to what you were looking for. So that is awesome.
Yeah. We
not
passed
going to read
goal
this.
in
Go ahead. Yep, sorry.
I'm sorry, we passed goal in about half an hour of starting. So
That's
that was nice.
absolutely fantastic. Love it.
Well, it's good and bad. It's
What?
good and
Yeah.
bad. You know, good, you know, like, wow, people like it. Bad, like, man, I really undersold this.
By the way, as people know, my wife is Japanese and she says good art.
Good.
So look at that. If she approves, then that's Japanese approved.
Oh,
Yes.
look at that.
Anyway, I'm not reading any of this. That's not the point of this. He's got his own video on it. He's also talked with other folks. We are going to talk about the game and the book. Don't get me wrong. I just don't want to focus on the Kickstarter itself too much, especially since he's already made it. You should check it out. Got the link there. It's going to be in the description. But there's one part of this I really, really wanted to focus on, and it's this part right here. Built for immersion, not pastiche. And I read this and I was like, what do I think about this? Because usually when somebody does this, it's like, oh, your cultural appropriation, blah, 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 all these other nonsense stuff. And it's like, no, I'm going to use a term that Sean Robertson likes to say. It's not cultural appropriation, it's cultural appreciation. And I think that's the point of this. So let me read this little section here to see if it's possibly for you. By the way, he has an entire section on that. Is it for you? But built for immersion, not pastiche. Stray Crows is historically grounded without being an academic reconstruction, which, by the way, when I read that, he took away one of my questions. So it presents a plausible, respectful game world drawn from the Sengoku and Edo periods, with enough context to help players understand the society they are entering. This will not be Japanese names pasted over familiar Western assumptions. Class, religion, obligation, purity, warfare, travel, food, trade, administration, and daily life all help shape play. The books also draw upon Japanese dramatic and storytelling structures rather than forcing everyday adventure into a familiar Western heroic arc, which I love. And if you've actually watched actual Japanese movies, or if I talk to my wife because I don't read Japanese, talk about Japanese novels or books, they don't play out the same way ours do. They're more lessons learned, if anything else. That's how I take it anyway. So
The good guys don't always win. Super un-American.
Right.
But
But the good guys did stand for something usually.
yeah. Until they died. But yeah.
But remember, honor is very important in that culture, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So historical play is the foundation. Magic and monsters are optional, and the past was already strange, violent, and complicated before the ghosts arrive. Ooh, little foreshadowing, little hint, little teaser there. So I wanted to put that out there, but then come back to this, and I'll leave this on the screen up here because maybe people can see the link. No, I guess not, but oops, folks can at least know what to type into Google to find. Stray Crows Ronin right there. We'll leave it up for just a moment. What is your 30-second soundbite or elevator pitch for Stray Crows Ronin?
Okay. I did write some notes in case that came up because I'm bad at selling things, as we've just recently covered.
Yeah, marketing, 500 grand, got it.
Stray Crows is 3 linked role-playing books. Ronin is the historical core of the system. Wandering samurai, warfare, politics, social status, survival, and the realities of Japan around the transition from the end battles of Sengoku into the Edo period. The second book, Three Candle Crown, opens the door to folklore, magic, and yokai on a more open basis. If you want a more fantasy-oriented game, you can get all of that there. And then the third book, Autumn Moon, adds rules for solo play and a whole bunch of GM support for running the game, mostly in the form of quite exhaustive and historically weighted random tables.
So I'm personally not into solo play. By the way, I don't believe that solo play is role playing. That's why I love it when people say solo gaming or solo playing or whatever, because I believe in that. It's not for me. However, with that said, if there was ever a game that was made for that, and I'm not even talking about your rules, I'm talking in concept. First of all, you have the word Ronin in there. So right there, that kind of implies that it would be good for that. I just got to say, I'm happy, whether I would use them or not, I'm happy. And I want to find out a little bit more about the fact that you included those solo play rules. What is the big difference for somebody playing this game, solo play, versus more traditional table play?
So, like you, I don't really understand solo play. To me, role playing has always been social. It's been one of the few social situations in which I feel at ease, probably because I'm usually running them and so I'm in control. Bit of a control freak, maybe. So the idea of solo play, it just never really clicked for me. I have found a way for me to enjoy it, which is to turn it into little radio plays for my YouTube channel. So that's how I find it. But it's been a much bigger thing as time has gone on this last few years. Practically every game that comes out seems to have solo rules attached to it or tools that will help you solo run. I think the difference is that at the table, when you're playing with other people, when you're the games master, you are guiding and unfolding the story for the players. So there's the act of revelation that happens as people piece the clues together, solve the problems, whatever it is. When you're playing by yourself, you're essentially games mastering for yourself, so nothing can really surprise you. So it's more about learning how to adapt to whatever the random rolls, or what they call the oracle, turns up for you. I think it has a role as a teaching aid for people to learn how to games master, because it exercises that improvisational muscle that you can't really just learn from a book. You have to do it. So I think that's good for it. I think it has so much appeal because, like we said, D&D and Paizo take up so much oxygen, that weirdly we've never lived in a more interconnected world than we do now, with tools to play online or ways to find other players, and yet it can be impossible to find people to play smaller games. So I think solo playing has kind of stepped into that gap, to provide some additional added value for people who buy a game because they're interested and then can't find anyone to play it with, which is sad, but why not help people in that instance?
No, I agree. Now, I'll be honest with you. I think that part of that is an excuse, and I say that because after once again reading Alexander McCrease's Arbiter of Worlds book and having it reinforced, and I think people prioritize things differently, and it's so easy nowadays to prioritize online play or solo play. We can stay in our comfort zones. Where back in the day, I had to find a group. I was talking about this with some people at work, where it's like, how do you guys find gamers? Oh, I still play with my high school group. Oh, I still play with this. Like, man, when I was in the Air Force, I actually, and by the way, I was bullied. I think Heath Dog remembers some of this. We were ostracized / bullied, whatever. It isn't something you openly said, hey, I play D&D, blah, 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 because, that would get you, remember, as a military, even if it was the Air Force, people would degrade you, mock you, judge you, whatever. So you had to kind of be subtle about it. But we would always find a group. Every base that I went to, I found a group. Every base. And it was pretty quick to find a group. You just had to learn to talk to people. Now it's like they're so afraid to talk to people, and they'll say things like, no, I have to play online. Like, no, you don't. You have to grow some balls and actually learn to talk to people, even so much as to say, like, I saw you reading Wizard's First Rule. Why do you like the book? Oh, you're a gamer. I'm a gamer too. Hey, let's,
Yeah. I've tried to consult with a bunch of solo players. Not many of them actually gave me that much feedback. So I guess antisocial is a real problem.
Sure, it can be,
in that
absolutely.
arena. But in writing it, I found that most of the tools that I was creating were really useful for games masters anyway. So, it's ended up as a really, really useful third book.
Okay. Hindog, do you have any questions you want to ask about this game? I have a few, but I want to see if you have anything that you want to.
Okay. I do, but first I want to throw this out there. Walter T says, I've said it before, I'll say it now, and I'll keep saying it. Solo play TTRPGing is just daydreaming. And before Grim opened his bearded mouth and explained why he had solo gaming in there, I would have been 100% with you and poo-pooed the hell out of the idea of solo gaming. I would have happy pooped all over it. But when he explained that it can be a good resource in practicing game mastering, where yes, you know everything that's going to happen because you're the only player and the game master at the same time, but you have to react to the random rolls, to the situations that are randomly rolled. And like we've said many times on this stream, these are things that have to be exercised. These are things that have to be done to be able to do at all, let alone well. You have to, start crawling, start walking, then you can run. And especially if you're grabbing an entirely brand new game, if there are rules to where you can go through it on your own, learn how to do both sides by yourself, it takes away all that anxiety you might have if you're that kind of person. I'm not. I'm an asshole by nature, so I don't care what you think. But if you do care about failing in front of other people, then this is your solution.
It's also good at just learning a game, even outside the game master concept. It's really good at just learning a game.
Just learning the game, exactly right. How it flows, how it works, how to do combat, how to do storytelling in this particular game, and then of course all the game mastering stuff. How to handle random events, how can players upgrade their combat with tactics, how can players upgrade their socialization with NPCs with certain skills, stuff like that. You're going to learn all that stuff by doing the solo play thing. And when he explained that, I was like, God damn it, why does that make so much sense?
My only hang up is I don't like the term solo role playing. It's not role playing. Solo gaming, solo playing, solo whatever else I'm on board with. If you want to do it, that's your thing. Go ahead, have all type of fun. It's not role playing. To me, role playing requires some sort of interaction.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now that's out of the way. I got that dirty taste out of my mouth. Now we get to questions about the book. Okay. Now, you made a point in the description to say that this is not an academic treatise. This is not something that's going to be 100% historically accurate with footnotes and a bibliography and all that nonsense.
I don't have to
garbage.
Consult my wife on everything who is actually Japanese.
Yeah. You don't have to consult three Japanese nationals to verify the veracity of all this. Blah blah blah. Okay, you made a point to say that, which is good. Now, I imagine that was to create more fun and less pedantry.
Yes.
Right? Now, are you prepared for the asshats that are going to come out of the woodwork seemingly from everywhere, railing you on every little thing that isn't exactly right? I mean, I'm not saying this is okay, yeah, they probably have already. The book's not even out yet. They probably have already. But did you mentally prepare yourself to ignore all that nonsense? And if you did, please tell me how.
I have experience with assholes and online
he's been
blowback.
Here before. Let's be honest, he's been here before.
It wasn't as a get out of jail free card, so I could just say, well, I said it wasn't.
I can do whatever I want now.
Yeah. Screw you guys. That wasn't the reason for doing it. The reason was for fun. Because if you're worrying about every piddling little detail, like I've been researching this for 2 years, and I only just found out the other day that Japanese peasants used to wipe their ass with a wooden spatula. Right?
Wooden spatula.
That's a wooden spatula. Yeah. Doesn't bear thinking about the splinters alone.
No,
you don't need to know that to wave a katana around and have some fun and face facts. Most people in feudal Japan didn't know everything about feudal Japan, so why would your characters? So this is this design philosophy that I have called plausibility. Right? It doesn't have to be accurate. It just has to be plausible. It has to pass muster at the table. You don't have to think too hard about it. It doesn't matter if it's slightly wrong. Does it kind of make sense? Cool. Let's go with it. So it's just to loosen things up a bit. But it is a historical game, despite all that. It's just not an arsehole about it.
Right. For I imagine a simple example is properly maintaining your weapon. Perhaps in the actual academic treatise version, it would take 18 days, 3 different kinds of oil, and to be blessed by some Shinto priest somewhere or some nonsense. But in the game, it's like, dude, just spend an hour taking care of your stuff. It won't rust. Move on.
Yeah. That sort of thing. Like, you don't have a poop tracker and you have to stop suddenly in the middle of combat. No, everyone hold up. I need to take a shit. My poop tracker just ticked up.
I love that word you used, by the way. It's something that I say a lot too. I get really not mad. It's just a word I use. I just kind of roll my eyes when people say, it's possible. Well, all things are possible in somebody's imagination. I like things that are plausible. So this is why I like, if we're talking something tropish like D&D, no, it doesn't make any sense for a dwarf to be a wizard, Victor. I mean, unless a certain setting says that, because it's just not plausible. Is it technically possible? Again, all things are possible up here.
Yeah.
Let's do what's plausible. Let's have that verisimilitude. And so I love that word that you use there. So what do Western RPGs usually get wrong about things like Ronin, samurai, ninja?
So there's all this rich cultural difference, and it tends to just get boiled down to kimonos, katanas, and different names for spells. And that's maybe it. Maybe you get some monsters. Influence tends to come from pop culture rather than actual culture and history. I like anime. I love anime and manga, but that has had a serious deleterious effect on anyone who wants to examine things more deeply. And historical role-playing used to be a thing. That's gone out a bit. And more crunchy gaming has gone out of style as well. So those were two sort of wings of inspiration here. I wanted to do a game that was a bit more crunchy, a bit more simulationist, but still fun. And I wanted to delve into historical gaming a bit more. I guess that's been kind of a thing because Whitechester is historically based as well, going back a few years. But yeah, I wanted to do that for something. And it was I trained in history and researching historical Japan more than what I'd already picked up by osmosis from culture was fun for me because I'm weird.
Okay, so there is a place, and I'm definitely not arguing with you. I'm going to be very clear. I'm just kind of pointing out a dichotomy. There is a place for some 80s ninja movie fun.
Absolutely.
And there is a place for historical accuracy. Where do you think that the purposes of, because it's easy to say, well, 80s ninja movie fun, we get to just chop things up and have a great day. Yay, fun time. Where
American Ninja 4.
Right, American Ninja 4. There you go. Revenge of the Ninja was one of my favorites as a kid growing up. I still have that stupid fight song stuck in my head. But
that's a guilty pleasure.
Where do you think the historical accuracy, why do you think, because obviously your Kickstarter is made, 3 times the amount that you had asked for? Why do you think that people are either looking for that or they're like, this is going to be a good time because it is more historically accurate? And that's just boring, I guess I'd say.
I guess somehow I managed to tap into a little sort of swell of zeitgeist of people wanting something a little bit more serious, a little bit more grounded, perhaps. It's more of a toolkit RPG, which I think people are sort of considering as well. Like you said earlier about making frameworks. Right? It's a framework in which you could play several different kinds of games if you wanted. You could go pure historical, you could go mytho-historical, you could go pure fantasy, you could go horror. There's a whole bunch of different ways you could go with it. So I guess I've just tapped into something or a desperately underserved market. And I also think, I've been doing this 25 years plus now, depending where you count my career from starting. I think I've built up some trust and a bit of a following at this point, so people are willing to come along with me and see what I do, which is a nice place to be.
So what did you misunderstand before starting this project or researching for this project? What is something that you like, oh, okay, I learned something?
Well, originally, I was just going to do a retro clone of Bushido, and I learned that they're still alive and still selling it. So that's something I was mistaken about. So, but I didn't want to lose all this research I've been doing because I was having a really good time doing it.
But isn't Bushido more pastiche?
It is more pastiche, but it's barely. To be perfectly honest, it's barely a game because it's so early and it's so obviously copying D&D in a lot of its mechanics, and it didn't bother with any stuff like background or lore. Yeah, and it had all the rules laid out like chapter and verse, like war games used to. All of those kind of things. So I thought, oh, this needs modernization. Bugger, they're still selling it. I can't just, in good conscience, just rip it off. So I went back to basics and built a whole new game out. Still kind of structurally inspired by Bushido, but far more complete. So that's something I learned. I learned just how long the Edo period was. I didn't think it was quite as long as that. I learned that Japan was a lot more multicultural than we think. Not Westerners, certainly, but after the Indian War, certainly there were a bunch of Koreans who'd been taken as debt slaves, basically. You had the Wokou pirates operating off the coasts, and they included like Vietnamese and all kinds of other people from Southeast Asia, even people from India, and so on.
The Japanese never got enough of trying to invade Korea. It was really weird.
Yeah, here's a secret reveal for you. One of the stretch goals, if we continue to make money, is a little source book on the Imjin War. Because Korea is so popular at the moment, I figured I'd better tap into that market.
I actually should have showed that, so I'm going to get this back on the screen here. I should have showed the stretch goals, and
yeah, that was a giant fumble. You just
yep, there you go. I rolled a 1 there. It was up here because it was under the katakana.
Yeah, it's right near the top, I think.
There we go. So hopefully you guys can see that. I'll zoom in just in case you can't. Oh, geez. There we go. So. Oh, is it Kokuzomushi? I hope I got that. Oh, you got it in English. You got Romaji right there. But still, I was reading the Japanese. I'm not good at reading my katakana anymore. Kokuzomushi. Okay, yeah. Anyway, my wife will come in here and yell at me about it. But that's an adventure in a historical setting. But up here you got Gaijin, which is play Koreans, Vietnamese, and even some Westerners. You too can be Tom Cruise.
So,
well. You're more likely to be a louse-infested Portuguese son of a bitch. But, yeah.
Can I be a
or a Dutchman.
Monk?
Yes, you can.
Awesome.
Or a Jesuit, if you really want to cause trouble.
So there you go, folks. I apologize. But now, since mine shows dollars and not pounds, have you made that 9K?
We have made the second one. I need to update that either when I get off from talking to you or tomorrow. So yeah, the Kokuzomushi is an adventure for the historical setting, and the next one will be at £10,500, and that will be a 3-candle crown oriented monster ghost magic oriented adventure.
Awesome.
Yeah, because you said earlier on yokai is not necessary, and yokai if in Japan is pretty much anything supernatural, demons, ghosts, whatever, stuff like that. They're kind of lumped in to the whole thing. So you can use them, but you don't need them.
Yeah.
Now that means they're not integral to any of the adventures, but how are they additive? How do they bring value?
So Japan has has pretty much always had a very syncretic religious spiritual culture meaning it's a blend of all kinds of different things. It's kind of similar in China as well. They mix together everything. As you'll know, if you watch Big Trouble in Little China, they do a little bit about that. You know, Taoist alchemy, Buddhist thought, all of that stuff. So what's a spirit in one religion becomes something else in another religion, but everyone, pays respect to the kami and all that. It's this kind of animistic underlying Shinto and the Ainu beliefs kind of underpin absolutely everything in the society. From ancestor worship to the temples to looking after your belongings, because if you don't look after them, they may turn into evil spirits and fuck you up. So you'd better look after that broom, Sonny Jim, or you'll be woken up.
Polish the broom. Clean the bristles,
exactly.
or else it'll strangle you in the middle of the night.
all of that kind of stuff. So if you want to make that stuff real, you can, because it's what everyone believes anyway. But I've taken the approach to the monsters and spirits and ghosts and everything that story comes first. There's got to be a reason why the ghost is haunting the old temple, and then. Yeah, we were talking about Japanese style storytelling earlier. So Western storytelling tends to build quite evenly towards a climax that is usually a fight that resolves the story and puts everything to bed, right? Japanese storytelling, not like that at all. It builds to a climax, but the climax is a change in how you perceive everything that's happened. So I hesitate to use the phrase, but where your expectations get subverted. So if you're investigating,
it would be for us to understand that it would be the big twist or reveal.
Yeah,
like, oh no, everything is not exactly as I thought it was. The bad guy's really good guy, or the good guy's really bad guy. That would be what they would call the climax or whatever.
The example I've been using to explain it to people is if you watch the original Japanese version of The Ring. Right, it builds up with all this investigation and so on, and they find the well and they go down into it and they unearth the body, and you can be at peace now. No, she's just an evil bitch. Right. So all of the movie up to that point is we can redeem her, this terrible stuff that happened to her. But as it turns out, she's just an evil bitch.
She just hates your living guts, and that's it.
Yeah.
And all of the denouement, what we would call denouement, is all the people dying.
That's one of those movies where I watch both the American and Japanese, and 9 times out of 10, I like the American version better because I'm Western. But that was absolutely one of those where I was like, the Western version actually sucks compared to the Japanese version. I so much like the Japanese version better.
That's why I'm so terrified about Asian ghosts. They terrified the shit out of me. If they were real, I would check out. I'm serious. I would just check out, because I might meet one day, and that's worse than death.
Well, what's also funny, Grim, in what you're saying there, because my wife comes from a Noro family, which basically means the priesthood. And so I talked to her a lot about Buddhism and Shinto and whatnot. And she keeps like, you keep acting like we have one religion. Like it's like all this stuff integrated over time. She talked about the different types of not Bushido. Did I say Bushido? I'm sorry, I meant Buddhism. Different types of Buddhism, where some came from India, some came from China, some came, and they're actually different, and that Shinto isn't just the same thing here. Prefixtures matter and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, yep, too confusing for me. It's just probably the same things like Protestant denominations, to you. It's like, sounds the same, but it's not, so
yeah.
I'm out.
And in this period, it's remarkable how similar in a lot of ways the Japanese history is to certain aspects of Western history, if you know what you're looking at. So a lot of the Buddhist monasteries sided with the peasants, which is not, and even set up independent states, the Ikki. And that's not dissimilar to the way in which religious radicals in the West during the English Civil War and so on, like the levelers and the ranters and the diggers and so on, became really strongly tied to Parliament or to rebelling against the crown. There's striking parallels all through it, at least to me.
Mm-hmm. So in your game, what does honor mean mechanically instead of just merely a setting fluff?
So, I mean, this is another problem with a lot of westernized games set in pseudo-Japans. Like, there was no single idealized, continuous idea of what Bushido meant or of what honor meant. It changed and moved over time. So there's a bit of leeway into it. So you can kind of customize to your table. If you're playing a whole bunch of bandits, then you're not going to worry so much about honor, but you're still going to have honor amongst thieves. So that's where the emphasis will come in. Your sort of standing in society is a combination of your sort of birth rank, your perceived honor. Like, you can be an evil son of a bitch in private, as long as no one knows. Yeah, who cares? Fame is another factor. You can lose face. Face can only go negative, and that negatively impacts your standing. And you can be in the right, and you can be behaving honorably, but then if you get a dressing down from the daimyo, then you're going to lose face, and you're going to have to work very hard to recover it. And all of that sort of combines together to determine how you're perceived in society.
Okay. Well, ultimately here, we can continue talking, but we're already a half hour over. If you want to keep talking about this, I have a few more questions, or I don't know what your schedule is like on this.
I'm happy to go a bit longer.
Okay.
If you've got more you need to ask?
Sure. I mean, but for the folks out there, absolutely. Just kind of picking your brain on where you came up with some of this stuff. So what movies, books, historical figures, or actual events most strongly influences? Or let me ask this better. How much research did you put into this in terms of like verifying that this is historically accurate, but also maintaining this is what people expect from something that's Japanese?
A lot. I would say that the most intensive research was into the yokai, because as you said, it's such a catch-all term. Mm-hmm. And you're working from translations, and not all of it is necessarily accurate. And then there's a whole bunch of very similar goblins that all want to mess with your ass for some reason. I don't know why Japanese goblins really want to do things to your ass, but apparently they do.
Why do Japanese goblins want to mess with my ass?
there's a Korean outhouse ghost.
Yeah,
dude, why?
Look, here we go. This is my wife. Bathroom god is the only one I care about. Yeah, okay.
Well, if there's a handy goblin to lick you clean, why not? Saves on toilet paper. Yeah, or wooden spatulas.
Or wooden spatula, as I now can't unknow. Thanks a lot.
You know what? I'm really thinking we should not have done this extra portion of the stream. It's just got.
Yeah, now I'm going to learn things I don't want to know, and I'm never going to be able to forget.
I guess, all right, to answer more seriously, I guess I dipped into an awful lot of books just to extract the information that I needed. But because the people playing it don't need to know everything, I didn't particularly feel the need to put everything in there, like exact timelines or whatever. So you get a sort of rough guide to the various domains and islands and that sort of thing, the major families, but you don't have to engage with any of that. People, once you publish a game, it's not yours anymore. But I really spent the majority of my time trying to create the right vibe, trying to create this sort of idea of rituals at the table, and the presentation is going to be a certain way, and the phrasing is put a certain way, the examples are done a certain way to try and create a culture at the table. I was inspired by Jim Raji's Lamentations book, which is really, it's just basic D&D, but he presents it in such a way that it feels like a whole new game, and you come away with a very strong impression of the kind of weird horror and sort of gonzo stuff that he's into. Yeah, it comes off the page. So that's what I'm trying to do with this. Encourage players to engage with the game in a certain mindset, the games masters to run it with a certain mindset, for that mindset and vibe to come off the page as you're reading it, and have them as nice objects as well. So it's ambitious, probably too ambitious, but I'm trying.
Okay, I was hating you at the beginning of that explanation, and you won me over at the end. The reason being is because I can't stand a lot of art and artists really, because they will say, oh no, it means whatever you want it to mean, or take away from it whatever you want. It's art. I don't own it. You know, it's whatever it makes you feel like. You're a bitch. That is stupid. Because how do I know if you're good? Because I need to know what you were thinking, and if you got me to think the same thing, you're a good artist. You properly portrayed the thought and feeling that you put on page to me just by looking at it. That's a good artist.
So I front the entire trilogy with, here's how to be a good player. Here's how to be a good games master. Here's what I'm trying to do with this book. Here are some things you can do that maybe sound silly, but will help make the game feel different and make it come alive at your table. But at the same time, you know, I know people aren't going to play it the way that I want them to, but I'm at least going to tell them what my intention is. And
as
I'm
long
not
as
going to
they
tell anyone they
understand
can't
the way you want it to be played, they can choose to do it the other way.
Yeah.
But as long as they get it, you've done your job. And that's kind of how I gauge a good artist, whether I like it or not. That's just me being subjective in my brain. But if I look at it and I say that makes me feel sad because of this melancholy cancer thing, and the artist was like, that's exactly what I was going for. Like, you're a good artist. You did that. You put that image and that thought and that feeling in me. That information I got from just looking at this. You're good. You're good. All right.
Yeah.
Anyone who like puts a banana on the wall with duct tape, I'm like, the fuck are you doing? That's not art. That's littering.
The other thing I try to do is to be educational without being boring. It more like, here's some neat stuff that I found in Japanese culture that you could bring into your game. Like Rakugo storytelling, and stock characters from Japanese theater. And we talked about the structure of the stories, how it's more like a twist than a traditional climax. So, you know, I try to put some of that stuff across in a conversational, like, here's this neat rock I found, isn't it cool? Sort of way of presenting things to people, in the hopes that they'll pick some of this up and have fun with it. I ran Legend of the Five Rings for many years, and we really lent into that. Like, we were drinking sake at the table. We were getting Japanese food in. You know, we were dressing up, taking it a bit far perhaps, but it really did make that campaign particularly memorable and immersive in a way that a lot of other games haven't been.
Because for me, that's a pastiche game.
That was, yeah, I absolutely agree. And I didn't want to remake that, but at the same time, like, we had a lot of fun playing it,
you
even
wanted
though it
to
was a
evoke
pastiche
the
game.
feeling of it without the actual, you know.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, it's so in many ways you could say, oh, this is me taking sort of the same sort of ideas more seriously and respectfully.
Okay, so why Ronin? See if I can say it right. Ronin. There you go. Instead of starting with samurai serving powerful lords.
So one problem with stratified class-based societies is that there is not a lot of room for adventurers.
Yeah, it's very rigid. Your
very
role
rigid.
is very, very straightforward and not a lot of leeway.
Yeah, and that gets worse and worse as you move from Sengoku into Edo, and everything gets far more refined and civilized, and everyone knows their place and everything. So the default setting is kind of towards the end, but not quite at the end of the Sengoku period. And in that period, of course, everyone is at each other's throats. There are massive armies rampaging everywhere, villages burning down, monasteries burning down, massacres. A lot of people are refugees, or their lord has been killed, or their monastery has been destroyed. And so the default idea, and it's intended to be played as an anthology, sort of episodic, without any big overarching plots. Again, just intention. Doesn't have to be played that way. So your travelers who've been thrown together on the road, and so each episode, whichever players have turned up to play, turn up with their characters, and they get embroiled in some situation and either reveal what's happening or solve it, whatever, and then pass on, and then next session you can start off afresh. So it's that is another thing that has been lost in gaming, I think, where you used to turn up and you would do an adventure, and then you would do another adventure. Everyone has this ambition for these big soaring save the world campaigns and never get past 6 sessions. So that's somewhat apocryphal, but yeah, it doesn't pay off. Whereas I think there's something to be said. There's something good about that episodic idea that I think is worth recapturing.
Yeah, I'm probably one of those people that causes some of that, because I don't like Monster of the Week games. I just don't. It's not my thing. Now, if you can tie the Monster of the Week together, the example I like to use, even though the series ended up really goofy, is I really like the first couple of seasons of like Supernatural, where they had the overarching, what was it, Yellow Eyes or whatever it was, and it was yet it was Monster of the Week. Okay, I can get with that because there's still an overarching concept.
They were moving toward the end goal the entire time, but during that time they had to overcome these specific, episodic type problems.
Yeah, I'm definitely a 1980s dirty, filthy campaigner, Hickman Manifesto type person. But I do get where you're talking about. Number one, number two, it's kind of cool that you're able to bring that back. And this is not only an interesting way to do it, this is a very good way to do it. So we have a super chat that was diving into kind of my next question here.
Okay.
Do you want to bring up the one talked about? Let's go over the rules a bit.
Oh, sure.
And then in the meantime, while he's bringing that up, just so folks know, we have, I'm sorry, I said 15. I was wrong. We have $18. And we get another round of drinks. Last call, man.
Malaquin, 10 more. This one's Canadian. All right. Let's go over the rules a bit. Like I said before, the rules are pretty cool and unique. I don't even like OSR games, but this is an OSR style game that actually works well.
All right, so
I think all OSR style games work well, Malaquin.
Let's imagine that somebody is watching right now and doesn't exactly know what that means and wants, isn't going to look at the book first, wants to hear from you how the rules system, generally speaking, works. What would you tell them?
It's really funny because when I launched the campaign, I was advised by everybody, don't talk about the rules, talk about the setting. Everything. And since I launched, all anyone's asked about is the rules. so much for that advice. Okay. It's kind of OSR adjacent in that the original idea behind the project was to resurrect Bushido, but that's way in the past now. So the idea was that other things than D&D could be OSR. If you squint and you look at it, you can still see the sort of OSR style framework there. Like it's D20 based. The sort of modifiers and difficulty levels and things will all look familiar. So there's enough there that you feel you've got a hook on the system. One of the main innovations is, so if you are doing like your day-to-day job, if you're doing something that's not under stress, if you're sitting in camp fletching arrows, or if you're fishing but nobody's like really hungry, you're just like fishing for fun or whatever, then you roll 2d10 instead of a d20. And that has a probability spike in the middle. So you're much more likely to get an average result or side to side.
I love me some bell curves, so I'm with you so far. Love it.
So that means if it's something that you're practiced at, something that you're good at, then your results are normally going to be pretty reliable, and you're not going to have a massive, great critical success, nor are you going to have a massive, great failure most of the time. Then if you're in a stressful situation, like if you're fishing and it's your last bit of bait and you're starving, like you can barely stay upright, or if you're fighting, or if you're trying to climb up a cliff and someone's throwing rocks at you, then you're under stress, and then you roll a d20 instead. A D20 has a flat probability line, and you're as likely to get a critical success or a critical failure or any number in between as any other. So that gives you that kind of wild swing of heroic action, or things going wrong unexpectedly, or things going right unexpectedly. So that's the main sort of mechanical innovation, I would say, that I have there. For those of you who like Palladium, there are actions and reactions in it as well. So combat is playing back and forth and figuring out when you can overextend yourself and when you shouldn't, and then dying very quickly if you get it wrong.
Awesome. That's actually one of my favorite parts of Palladium, is that action reaction. So awesome.
Yeah, and the whole dying very quickly is pretty much the whole, old Japanese way. I mean, you get hit and you're done. Yeah, I mean, if you're not dead now, you're dead tomorrow. But either way, you're out of the fight.
Yeah. What's that saying about knife fights? They're to determine who dies now and who dies later in the hospital.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, antibiotics ruined that, but whatever. But yeah, that was basically it.
Yeah, but it really pays to stack the odds in your favor and to wring every single advantage you can out of every fight. And if you make a mistake, you're going to pay for it.
Outside of the one part of me that doesn't like it when players just look at game numbers and like, how do I get every bonus in here? But when it comes to actual organic tactics, research, taking the high ground, whatever concept you're thinking about there, I love that. I this whole round one fight, dun, 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 like, come on, that's boring, and that you got this coin flip of a fight, but yeah, organically stacking the odds in your favor, I'm absolutely for. So how lethal is sword fighting or knife fighting or bow fighting in the game?
Incredibly. Okay. So damage is the difference between your attack roll and their defense, and then it is capped by whatever weapon you're using and how strong you are. So swords have quite a high cap. So if you roll a high amount, you're gonna gut someone probably of half their hit points on a half decent hit, at which point they're gonna death spiral and your next blow is gonna finish them off.
Okay.
Player characters are a little bit more resilient in that we have sort of chi as a resource, which you can use to reduce damage or boost your rolls and so on. And you can also sacrifice experience to have a sort of last minute get out of jail free. So in movies, that would be, there's a horrible big slash and then your kimono falls off, but you're not actually cut. That's when that sort of thing would happen. Another innovation to stop combat getting too cagey in part, and also just to give it some character, is at the end of everyone's turn, there is an environmental turn. So that's when you do all the bookkeeping, like you're on fire, take this many points of damage, you're poisoned, make a save. But also it allows it's intended to allow the games master to throw in something. So if you've got two samurai facing off against each other in a duel and sort of fencing back and forth and doing full defense, neither of them can get through. Comes to your turn as the games master on the environment turn, and then you can throw them a curveball like, okay, a mosquito lands on your arm and bites you, momentarily distracting you. Your rolls are at -2 this turn. So suddenly you'll put even more on the defensive. Or you can have someone losing their footing, or a bird fly up out of the undergrowth, or a patrol happens along, or whatever it is you want to do. But there are tables with suggestions in the third book for things that you can throw into combat.
Is that something that a game master can? I don't want to say can. I mean, are there rules for it that keep that some sort of in check, or is that something where the game master, let's use your mosquito thing? You were winning the fight, but I don't want you to beat my favorite NPC here. So a mosquito bites you, and now you're allergic and you fall on the ground and you're right. You get where I'm going, right? Like, is there something that kind of puts that in some sort of box, so to speak?
There are suggestions, and I give lots of examples of things that you can do, and there are the random tables of things that you can throw in, and you should randomize who you apply whatever penalty it is 2 or bonus even.
Because you know, and Heathen Dog and I talk about this a lot. If the Game Master all of a sudden comes out and that happens, like, what? Okay, now you just have it out for me now. Okay, you're just an adversarial GM, whatever. If you want to win. You know how players will take that stuff, whether it's legit or not, right?
Yeah,
so that's why I wanted to ask it.
Yeah, there's not a lot you can do about that as a game writer.
If you're a bad GM, you just are.
Yeah, but if the examples help, that'll nudge people the right direction, I think.
Okay. Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm basic because you've either answered them through the course of the conversation or I asked you directly. I've pretty much asked everything that I feel I need to ask. Heathen Dog, is there anything that's left on the table for you? And if no, then Grim, if there's anything we didn't cover that you want to get out there? And then I think we're about ready to read super chats and wrap this up.
Yep, I'm good. Well, he actually answered a question I have, like during combat. There, and in the more what I believed to be more based on realistic East Asian combat, there was a sense of great control and concentration, and this was key to fighting. And I understood that because fighting is so dangerous. Someone is going to die. It could very well be you. It's basically a 50-50 chance that on a normal opponent that you're the one that's going to die. So concentration is absolutely key, because if they have even a 1 or 2% advantage on you because you're distracted, that could mean the difference between you walking away and you becoming some yokai, right? That's just pretty much how it is.
Every decision, every action, every roll will matter in combat. Combat is over quickly because everyone dies very quickly. So
yeah, and that was a question I had, and you answered it.
Okay.
Already, so I'm good.
All right, go ahead and knock out those super chats and things. And I put it in the chat there. We're $10 short of one more round of drinks. If we can do that, Max, where did I put? Oh, Max loves his.
Walter's giving more jewels, all the jewels in the world.
Loves his honey whiskey.
Yes. We also have Malaquin again, after both playing in Grim's playtest and running my own 6-game mini campaign of it. I can say it plays really well. Stray Crows has many new cool mechanics layered on cool old school style core. We're just talking about, a lot of the old schooler games were very, very dangerous. Combat was very, very dangerous because, people weren't as sissy as they are now. Like, oh, my character can't die. He's got to have 18 chances to bounce back up and say, oh, I'm okay. It was just a scratch. No, that's not happening here. Dumbass. There was one more up here that I forgot to get to. Well, Seth Fulton, thank you very much for the $15. You had nothing to say, but that's okay. $15 says a lot, as far as I'm concerned. But there was another one. It was asking when we... Oh, there it is. Kevin Sullivan with $5. Grim, when will I be able to buy the book online? When is it due?
Okay.
Now, what? Before you answer, we don't want a specific date because we know that's a lie. We know it's a lie.
Right.
Can you narrow it down to a quarter? It would be great.
So here's the thing: the books are all already written. There's a little bit of tidying up. There's another editing pass. It needs to be put into layout. I need to commission some more art, but the games are done. So everyone who backs, at least at the PDF level, will get the raw text files so that I make sure that everybody at least gets something. Just in case I get hit by a bus tomorrow and isekai'd to another world, just in case.
Let's not do that.
And you just put that out there, so good job.
Yeah. And so then everything goes into layout after editing. I get the rest of the art commissioned. The provisional date we have is next May for release. I expect it'll be sooner than that, to be honest. I've given everything a lot of leeway because we don't know whether the Middle East is going to blow up again or what shipping costs are going to be. That's also why I'm using print on demand instead of offset printing, because that way I can get stuff printed more locally to people and shipped to them without so much risk. So yeah, a bunch of geopolitical considerations went into this Kickstarter.
Well, remember, just even a couple of years ago, all that China stuff that was going on, it affected Palladium and Free League and many other companies as well. So I get where you're coming from there.
So I honestly don't know. May would be the latest, and once I get the hard copies sent out to people, I wait until I hear that people have started to get them before I make the PDFs and the hard copies generally available. So it will be.
So you respect your backers, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So it will be 1 to 2 weeks after it's sent to backers that things will start to appear online for sale.
Okay.
So
awesome.
So sometime in the middle or end of May is what you're shooting for.
Hey, Heathen Dog, real quickly, we have another round of drinks, so we have to do. We hit the 150 mark.
All right.
This is probably the last one I should have on this Sunday, though. So thank you.
I heavily watered mine down. I didn't tell you guys earlier, but
I did not.
That's what happened. He did not. So
okay, if you backed the project, you will get the raw text versions of the books pretty much immediately, maybe within a day or two of the Kickstarter closing out. Okay. Depending obviously what you backed, but yeah.
Yeah, it'll be done, but it will not be prettily formatted. There'll be no art, no nothing like that. It'll just be, you wanted the game, well, here you go.
Yeah, the physical copies are going to be 8.5 by 8.5 hardcover, color interior. So something to look forward to. Awesome. They should look really nice.
Oh, that's good. All right, and then we have Malaquin here. In the mini campaign I ran, it took 3 games. Remember, he said out of 6. It took 3 games for them to get away from the inn because they kept starting fights and kept dying to a single good blow or two. Hilarious until they stopped hack and slash.
Yes. I'm glad that message was learned. That's fantastic. Yes. And I'm also glad
that it was learned and they didn't go, this game sucks, and run away.
Or the game master doing the same thing. Guys, what the fuck is wrong with you? No, that's awesome, and I'm glad the lesson was
sit
learned.
Back with the popcorn. Like, oh yeah, no, you want to slap him in the face? Oh yeah, sure, go ahead, yeah, that'd be great.
Character deaths will continue until morale improves.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we have Chris with $10 for honey and whiskey and hibiscus tea. Yep. And now we have some of the starred content.
Okay.
Witch Queen of Samara. Grim is making a historical game, and I want to turn it into my own Rokugan with blackjack and hookers.
This goes back to you saying the people are going to run the game how they want that. I just thought that was a funny comment. So
blackjack and hookers. Well, I want something more historically accurate than blackjack, but the hooker sounds great.
Hanafuda cards and hookers. Right.
There you go. and hookers. Let's not
and
forget
hookers.
The important part.
You can play hookers. It's a very, very broad character class called Entertainer.
There you go. And we have the Eclectic Goat. So you talk about the world first so that people will be intrigued enough to talk about the rules. Well, we get it now. We all get it now.
Well, no, that was the thing. He's like, man, people will,
I know. Everyone said, please just talk about the setting. Don't talk about the rules. And then everyone wants to. That's because you already talked about the setting.
Fine.
There you go. Brother Anselm, this is just flat out the best RPG channel on YouTube. After I crowdfund my daughter's neck surgery, I'm going to become a member. Oh, it's awesome. I'm sorry about your daughter's neck surgery. The last part of that set. Okay, never mind. The first part sucked. The last part was great. This is just a great channel. Fascinating, Sensei Grim. Good luck.
Then I have a suggestion for you. Maybe don't become a member because you'll get access to 5,000 videos, some of which you might not want to watch.
Yeah. Some of which are bad. Go to Legion of Myth. If you do become a member, go to Legion of Myth Livestream episode 1. It's hilarious.
Oh, the weekly live stream. Yeah, that's way back. Yeah. Oh God. But even outside of those, bad. I mean, the rants. Somebody dug up some rants recently and so forth. Yeah, I mean, we have different eras of our own that we went through.
Yeah,
but I appreciate that. Thank you very much for liking what we do now. It took 11 years to get to this point.
We have our own transition periods.
Yeah, multiple. Yeah.
But yeah, and that is it.
All right. All right. Well, you know what? We went an hour longer than we were supposed to. Grim, you're a good sport about that. Thank you very much. It was good talking with you again, and I sincerely mean that. Anything else? By the way, please stick around for a couple minutes after the stream. Some final details here. But any final words for the fine folks out there that you've got about anything we've talked about today, especially obviously Stray Crows? Anything you want to get off your chest?
Back the project, obviously, and please spread the word, because I don't have the budget for advertising that a lot of other companies and so on
He doesn't
do.
have the £500,000 for marketing.
Yeah. So I rely on word of mouth. So if you like it, even if you don't have the money spare to back it, I would really appreciate it if you shared it on whatever forums, social media groups, Discords, other channels. So of course, why would you watch any other channel than this one? Just spread the word around. And if you have a channel of your own or a podcast or whatever, drop me a line. Maybe I'll pop on to talk about it and other stuff.
Awesome.
So did you actually ever answer that question that Full Metal Dragon put in at the beginning about is this game coalition approved?
Well, it is coalition approved. I will tell you why. Because all of this is all humans, right? Humans are the good guys and the bad guys and the regular folk out there. And 99% of things that are supernaturally bad are humans hate. So yeah, man, it's coalition approved. It's human first. This whole game is human centric. I love it.
All right, and with that, we are going to end it for today. Thank you very much for everybody for being here. Next Friday, what are we talking about? We're still talking about some combat-oriented stuff. I now have enough people to have a live stream on Friday, so it means I have some work to do today. Get that ready for them. And then next Sunday, we have Kevin Simbita, maybe Sean Robertson. We're not sure. Kevin Simbita +1 to talk about burbs.
Whoever he brings as his date to the prom. That's what's happening.
To talk about burbs. And for those who know, you already know, we have a Discord section that I put up feelers out there for any questions you want answered. We got a few, but if you got any questions about burbs, whether it's the Chi-Town burbs or any other burbs or whatever burbs, we're bourbon. And so go ahead and ask those questions, put those comments in there. But until then, let's put this back up because it's awesome and it gives Heathen Dog hair. And with that, I hope each and every one of you has a wonderful week.